it is going to be like the first pilot trial, small trial, and how I think you mentioned on the slide that that's what you could use that $70,000.
Yeah,
which is potential award from this competition for. Could you tell us more about it?
I'll be happy to. All our experiments till now have been done in greenhouse trials. Obviously, something that you want to prove efficacy, you have to put the test where it's going to be applied in the field. And hence, it's critical that we move this to the field. So we are in touch with 3 growers in Florida. We are assessing, we are assessing what they offer and what we can, how it fits our needs. So we need a certain type of trees, the size and so on. And also we want to make sure that the trees have the disease. So that's very critical. So, and we do have, they are keen helping us move this to the field. So they are ready to give us access to the field to trees. As I said, there will be about 30 trees, 15 treated, 15 untreated. We're going to measure the disease from at the beginning. And then we also, and there will be periodic sprays. So it will be basically every other month spray, like you do for the pesticide. And we are going to sample in between the trees. Basically, many measurements we take, both physical and also the load of the bacteria doing using polymerase chain reactions, where you can detect the low levels of the bacteria. This bacteria is you cannot culture it in the lab. It's an obligate. So it grows only inside the plant. So therefore, we use other techniques to evaluate how much bacteria. So we will going to do that periodically. So we will be traveling to Florida to assess all this. The farmers, all farmers we have talked to, they're happy to continue the irrigation, the regular maintenance. Of course, no pesticides, no antibiotics with trees. So these are the conditions that we are working with the farmers.
And would the farmers do all of this at no cost? Or
we are going to provide labor. Therefore, you see that the majority of our basically the entirety is for the field trial. There is the cost of paying for the labor, and we are negotiating whether we are going to pay them for the trees, especially the untreated trees that might at the end not be useful anymore. And that we have considered also costs, and then we will travel from here to there, and that will be myself a few times, at least 4 times, to sample the trees. Sampling is very straightforward. We just take the leaves from the tree. We measure symptoms, yellow. There are several symptoms associated with it.
Great, thank you.
Rosabelle, do you have a question?
Alexa, getting on.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was an excellent deck and pitch. I would just say just 2 small things, and this is not so much for OASIS Challenge, but just for your deck moving forward. One is you always want to put your startup either at the top or on the left in your competitive matrix. So it's the first thing people see, because a lot of people will just not even read that slide. They'll just glance it. And then of course, if you do the XY axis as your competitive matrix, you always want to be in the top right. Just so that's just a small note. And again, this is not a OASIS Challenge note, but this is just a question. One thing that's going to be a challenge for early stage investors, as we've talked about before, with your team, is the length of time and the amount of capital required for EPA approval. So I was just curious, just quick answer, is there any way to speed that up? Could you speed it up with more money, or does it just take the time it takes?
We cannot speed it up with money. It's just that we're dealing with trees. And as I explained, it's an obligate pathogen. So you cannot culture it. So you have to grow it in efficacy. So
Okay.
the time we cannot. The money, I think we stand strong with we can raise funds for this.
Okay,
we
cool.
have several individual friends and family already approaching us, knowing that we started this venture. So some of you know Paul Zorner. He has started a few startups here at GCR. He was the very much, he told me the words were honored to serve as advisor. I think there is a strong belief that what we have, it's going to materialize to what we hope it will.
Great. All right. Thanks. Great pitch.
So just to follow up, a small comment, because of the time it takes,
Yes.
right? I think that the message to the judges and the community will be, it takes time, there's no other way. I think that's the sense of, or that's the message that we want to
Good point.
impress on the judging and the community, right? There's no other way right now to get there, so it takes what it takes.
I don't know well, there was no time really to talk more about it, but I can say we at UCR, or those folks from UCR know, especially with its research office, we're doing breeding. It takes even 2 decades to do that. So actually what we are doing is faster than anything else that has been done. This disease has been around for 20 years in Florida, since 2005, and never come. And everything is taking time.
So, but I think it's because
So we need
otherwise
to-
it's the saying, oh, it's going to
Yes.
take 6 years, let's have somebody else take care of
So
it.
somehow I need to introduce that part of it.
Yeah. Martin, do you have a 1-minute question? Because I do have a comment for her. Do you have a question?
I'll leave it to you. We only have 1 minute. So.
Okay, no. So, how much, I saw your financial chart. Can you put it back up?
I
Or
don't
is
know
it-
where it went.
Okay, your financial chart has 6 years or so of development,
Yes.
$6 million you're claiming that it will take. And then you have the monetization piece, and those numbers were small. So, and you say that somebody will acquire you. So what do you think will be the amount, 6 million, what do you think you need to sell before somebody is attracted enough to acquire you? Like, what do you have to show them in terms of monetization for the opportunity?
Well, in my discussions with different sectors, it's the EPA approval and efficacy field trials is what needed. As far as the need of the market is very clear. Anyone I talk to anywhere close to agriculture, industry,
Yeah.
or agrochemicals, they know that's a fact. So I don't need to convince them that there is a need for it.
Okay, so here, I think for us, it would be useful for you to project what the first year sales of your, once the acquisition happens, or even if you were to do it, give us what your yearly sales for year 1, 2, and 3 will be. Because-
After this.
Yes, because what happens is I'm looking at very small numbers in terms of revenue for your, after acquisition.
Can you go next? 2 more, 1 more? 1 more? So there is a line then somewhere, I thought it was on this one. There is a line missing on the table at the bottom. Because it shows that this kind of product actually could go to from 50 million to 150 million.
Okay, we need to see that.
So that it was there.
Okay, so that's the
Yeah, that is
discussion that is important in this slide, okay? So somewhere in the previous
Yes.
slide, you'll have to tell us that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I want you to imagine this, okay? A trade war between the United States and China escalates. China then decides to cut off our lithium supply. Right now, they process 80% of the world's lithium, making them the largest competitor in the global market. While the United States, on the other hand, can only produce 1% of its own demand. And to make matters worse, it takes over 18 years to build a lithium extraction mine here in the US. The state and federal and local governments have emphasized that lithium is an important mineral for the United States infrastructure. It's going to be huge for what they want to do as producing batteries and producing or reinventing the grid. And totally, it goes into everything that we do. It goes into our computers, electric vehicles, our phones. It's even in our drones. It's in everything that's electric, that's important in our lives. Go to the next one. My name is Jake Estrada. This is my co-founder, Raymond Moorhead, and we are BluCore Minerals. We have the solution to this problem. We've developed a patented technology that extracts lithium ions from waste brine water, acting almost like a magnet. Waste brine is an industrial byproduct from geothermal plants, mining, and desalination facilities. We will be focusing purely on desalination facilities to start. Our solution is highly selective and is even able to extract these minerals in low concentrations. Desalination plants are where we're getting the most traction and where we can make the most difference at this point in time. Essentially, how it's going to work is that we're going to integrate our technology into their already existing infrastructures, sort of a plug and play model. As you see here, they're going to do the same process as they always do. We're just going to add one more step, and we're going to process that lithium, extract it, and put the fresh water out into the world. So we're going to be able to make a difference on 4 different scales. So they're going to be able to extract this lithium for $3,000 per ton, and they will be able to resell it for upwards of $15,000 per ton. So the profit margin for them is going to be huge. That means the profit margin for us is going to be huge. There's going to be no pre-treatment. All the other solutions require a lot of pre-treatment. They have to process the water over and over again just so they can get to the lithium extraction part. And it's going to be environmentally friendly. One thing that China has a problem with is that they're poisoning their water with lithium, and many people are getting sick. And that seems to what people are worried about here in the United States. We're going to address that issue because we're going to clean all that lithium out of that water and make sure it doesn't get into the streams of the living people. We have a 90% selectivity rate. That means it's extremely accurate at extracting those lithium ions. Waste stream mining is a $750 million market, and it's only growing. When it comes to lithium extraction as a whole in the United States, it's a $26.9 billion market. We expect to expand into other industries like mining or geothermal. There's going to be interest from that. We're focused on desal, like I said, but we know that there's going to be interest because there's going to be infrastructure there for lithium extraction. And we want to make sure that we can help them and we can clean their water as well. Our current focus, like I said, is desal all the way. That's where we're having the most traction and the most activity. Raymond, if you'd like to expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah, a little bit more about our desalination plant. As Jacob said, we have the most early traction. At the same time, that's our strategic advantage. So our competitors actually have trouble in these low concentrations at desalination plant. Desalination plants are known to have about a 0.17 to 0.20 parts per million concentration lithium in their waters. That's where our technology strives. So we have conversations with the desalination plant, and they actually allow us to test their water. They're very interested in our business model. And then on top of that, going forward and how we're getting to market, we are working on signing more letters of intent. We have one already from a water purification company who wants to help us develop our our prototype and our pilot site as well. So we're going to go into our business model. So how we are making money is we are first installing our extractor system, which goes directly into the existing facility. This is a one-time installation fee for our customer. And then also at the same time, we are estimating that we're able to help the customers save about $3 million to about $10 million per year because we're going to be making their water lighter. So it depends on the size of the facility and how much water they're actually putting out. And then in return, we are going to have a recurring revenue model, and that's for the minerals that we are recovering out of their wastewater.
And they're expected to make a high return on investment because we're able to extract these minerals using 75% less water and 50% less energy.
Yep. A little bit about our financials. So we're expecting that our prototype is going to take about $100,000 to build. And then from there, we're expecting that's going to take about $1.3 million to actually create and install the system. In return, that would cost the customer about $3.3 million. So as you kind of see, around year 3 is when it starts to pick up because it kind of starts to account for the mineral recovery. So the first plant that we actually installed, we're not going to expect the mineral recovery revenue just yet until the next year. And then as we continue to add more sites to our workload, we start to see more scalability start to grow. So other than the letter of intent that we just talked about that we recently signed, we also have support from the FedTech Incubator Program and NSF and also the Department of Energy and NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And then we have secured some early non-dilutive funding as well. I want to introduce you to our team. So you have myself, you have Jacob. We're both serial entrepreneurs. We are also our inventor is Dr. Kimberly Cousins at California State University, San Bernardino. She is a 30-plus year chemistry professor. And how we're going to use our funds, specifically the $70,000, $40,000, or $30,000 will seriously move the needle for our company. Specifically, most of the money is going to go into developing our prototype, and that's going to be able to help us get from lab to actually industry. So really quick, we just wanted to highlight how important we can be to the Inland Empire, specifically creating thousands of jobs, being able to pioneer what we're doing and then expand. And on top of that, the first plant that we are working with is actually in the Inland Empire. The technology started here in the Inland Empire, and we are working towards having impact from the Inland Empire to the state to the whole world. Thank you, everybody.
How long was that? Was that over 8?
No, it's actually 25 seconds left.
Okay.
Oh, we thought the ding was the end of it.
All right. Nice job.
Thank you.
Galen.
Yes. How am I coming through, guys? Sound wise.
Sound good?
Good. Good morning. My apologies for being remote. It's holiday season and other responsibilities, so I need to be at 3 different places at once. It seems like for the next 30 days. Good presentation. Here's my feedback. One, lithium. I think I got the story about China and America. I don't really think we need to imagine it too much. I think you can say we can only produce 1% of all the lithium that's needed, and this is where lithium is in all these various products. I think you can tighten it up a little bit. If only you have time in this particular presentation, 8 minutes. But as you probably already know this, since you pitched in other competitions, you're going to have a 2-minute version of your pitch, 5-minute version, etc. I think you can just cut to the chase on that one with lithium because it is very topical.
Sounds good.
This is the rhetorical comments. You don't need to respond to it, but here are some of the things that I thought. You're really inherently tied to the desalination industry. In fact, someone was just asking me this week, why don't we have more desalination plants in Southern California? So I would be prepared, if not already, to justify the desalination industry and its growth, because right now, $750 million from an investment standpoint is small. That's pocket change. That's coffee money from an investment standpoint, unless it's really growing really, really fast in the desalination industry, because you're kind of attached to that. So in some ways, I see you're going to have to defend that industry, which brings a question mark. You mentioned recovered minerals versus lithium. You were talking about your process and that you recover minerals. I don't know if you're speaking of other minerals or if it's just purely lithium. But as you get questioning or further along with interest, I think somebody might push you back on that. So just be careful how you communicate that. The team slide, a little too quick. I heard 30 years, somebody was great in 30 years and you moved on from it. I would like to have seen the team a little bit more, especially if they're strong. People want to know who's behind it. That's it. Good luck, but awesome. Good presentation. A good presentation. This is fine tuning there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just know we can extract other minerals, such as magnesium, uranium, and sodium.
All right.
So following closely behind Galen's comments, my initial questions are, Jake and Raymond, with regard to the efficiency, the technological efficiency of extracting lithium from desalination plant wastewater, number one. I'm also at the same time unclear about the cost or economic efficiency of extraction as well. With regard to meeting the overall demand, what portion of the overall demand that you have identified will this technology be able to address?
Well, so they have to, like I said, they have to do multiple processes. So because of that, it takes more water and more energy just to do the lithium extraction itself. But we can extract the lithium with other minerals present. So that's what really saves us a lot of time. And not only is desal interested, but so is geothermal and mining. We're not there yet, but they have indicated that they've tried to extract lithium based on our customary discoveries, but they can't get that return on investment.
Go ahead, sorry,
Sorry.
sorry, Rick.
Oh, no problem. Also, like, so for example, for some of our main competitors with their technologies, for like direct lithium extraction, they use a lot of membranes, and that takes more energy and more water. So we are like, when we go to desalination plants, they really can't. I don't say they can't, but they're not successful in desalination because of the concentration of the lithium.
And finally, last question, and then I'll hand the baton over to somebody else. Again, with regard to technological efficiency, effectiveness, and so forth, are there contaminants that you are picking up, or are you able to also eliminate any other contaminants when you are extracting the lithium, or is that an issue that you need to address as well?
That's actually a good question. We know that the solvent that we use is healthy and safe for the environment. It's actually similar to what's used in like beauty care supplies.
Yeah.
But we know that it just binds to like the mineral, so nothing outside of that, from what we're aware of.
Roosevelt.
Okay. What is the typical volume of water that a desalination plant produces?
Depending on the size, you mean like in terms of gallons?
Yeah.
Oh, so like from the biggest one that we know in Carlsbad, about 10 million per day.
10 million what?
Gallons.
Gallons, okay.
Yeah.
How many gallons of waste do you need to process with your technology to produce 1 ton of liquid?
That's why we want to help develop our MVP because of that.
But you need to, no.
So
Yes and no, because I think that I just, unfortunately, I asked ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT, right, so what is the typical concentration of lithium? It's about 0.25 ppm, okay. But then I said, if I need to get 1 ton, how much? 5 million liters to generate 1 ton, okay? So so you need to really start with these calculations, because I think that even the financials are unrealistic to say I'm going to have $100,000 on year 1, and on year 2 I'm going to generate how much, when you're going to need to process so much volume of water with a prototype. So that's something that number 1. Number 2 is you have a professor in Cal State San Bernardino already created this technology. I would like to see in this presentation, and I said that to everybody when I sent them my email, data. So this is not, compared to most speech competitions, right? This is about the technology. The reason we selected you is because of the interesting technology. So she must have, the professor, some data somewhere in the lab that shows that she can extract whatever you said that you have, 90%, because those numbers, 90% extraction or 70% efficiency, less water, less electricity, that assertion comes from somewhere. And I imagine that comes from either calculations that you guys did or the calculation that she did. I like to see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, I think Roosevelt has a very, very valid point. In your financials, you talk a little, I mean, you probably have to look at that financial slide. I have lots of questions that are around that, and Martin Bolt and I wrote. So get with us after this if you go forward, and we can help you figure that out. But I think there's a lot of tweaking that needs to be done. To Roosevelt's point, what is the economic model for this? We didn't hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a big if, and we probably need to work on that.
Yeah. And even if you don't advance, you need to have this done. And we talk a little bit about that during the pitch, the 30 seconds, and it's important, right, to get to calibrate. And also, is this $100,000 for how many gallons will you be able to process? And then when you go to a full desalination plant, right? And then you need to start thinking, is this the right way to recover lithium? right? Because what the problem you're trying to solve is lithium for the battery industry, right? Remember that we talked about that in the first class? So there's things to work on here.
Nice job.
Also, I just wanted to add, I think that I would recommend for the final pitch, remember you're trying to impress the judges about how you're impacting the region. And then, I personally would sprinkle in something about how you're positively impacting the Inland Empire. And I think the only answer you have really is jobs, because again, I know it's a national problem and I know you're solving a national problem for the US, but I would say something about that earlier, because you don't want the judges, especially the VIP judges like the mayor and the people in the region, to tune out and think, oh, this is a startup that has no relation to Inland Empire. So I would just think about that.
Scott, the tech is based here though, but.
I know, but it doesn't matter if they're not bringing, because the judges are going to want to hear what impact is it bringing to the region. And so if it's jobs, I'm saying that they didn't talk about jobs until the very last slide. I would say something about it. Maybe I missed it, but I would say something about it earlier in the presentation so people don't tune out.
Okay, good job. All right, nice job.
Thank you for the feedback.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Sharina Warku with Feirie. I'm co-founder and CEO, and we are transforming healthcare by preventing chronic disease before it starts. So let me show you how. Here's the crisis. 90% of healthcare spending, which is $4 trillion, goes to treating chronic disease after people get sick. So we're talking about diabetes, heart disease, dementia, or I'm sorry, not dementia, but Alzheimer's disease. But we spend less than 5% on prevention. Right here in Riverside County, chronic disease rates are above the state average. So that means more diabetes, more heart disease, higher healthcare costs per capita. Patients have lost trust, physicians and clinicians are burned out, and payers are desperate for solutions that scale. We need prevention that actually works. That's Feirie. We guide patients through personalized lifestyle changes, so things like nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, that prevent chronic disease before it starts. What makes us different is that we've built this solution for the physician, for the clinician. Doctors and healthcare leaders get real actionable insights into and recommendations that fit into their existing workflows. They can keep patients healthy and not just manage the disease. And here's what's critical. Patients don't pay out of pocket. This is covered by their existing health insurance plans or community organizations. And this is what makes this solution acceptable, especially for the underserved populations. Who we serve. Our customers are health plans like Blue Cross Blue Shield, physician groups, employers, and community organizations. But the real beneficiaries are patients, especially underserved populations. So that's why we're here in Riverside. We're in conversations with UCR Medical School, and we're identifying local clinical programs. We want to prove that the model works here in diverse real-world communities. And because healthier people build healthier communities, and healthier communities build stronger economic. The preventative healthcare market is $336 billion and growing at a 10% rate. 152 million Americans have insurance that already covers preventative services. But here's the real opportunity. If we shift just a fraction of the 90% chronic disease spending towards prevention, we're talking billions in savings and millions of lives improved. So how does this work? Patients get personalized coaching integrated with smartwatches for remote monitoring and capturing real health data. Physicians get a dashboard, physicians, clinicians, healthcare leaders with actionable insights. So example, your patient is not sleeping well, here's what to suggest. So we integrate our system into the existing EHR systems, and we track outcomes in real time so that the payer is able to understand what their return on investment is. Yes, we have competitors in this space. So there's Omada, there's Virta, there's Noom and Livongo. But here's how we're different. We're whole person care. So we covered the 7 pillars of health. We don't focus on one specific area of chronic disease. Also, we are clinician and physician centric. We built this alongside with our clinical group and with clinicians. So it's not just a consumer app. And look at the price, $99 per person versus $200 to $400. Sometimes there's life improvement programs out there for $1,500 per person. And that's how we're able to serve the underserved population. Our go-to market is deliberate. So phase 1 has already begun. We've started pilots with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Ascension Health, Loma Linda, and physician groups in value-based care. And these have generated outcome data that we need for the payers. Phase 2 is to scale, and this is where Riverside comes in. And Riverside partnerships are crucial. So we're looking for local clinics, physicians, employers, and community organizations to prove this works in real world and diverse communities. Our model is simple. So $99 per person annually, that's less than $10 per month. We're targeting 15,000 members or 15,000 patients in our ecosystem, generating a 1.5 million in revenue. In year 3, we want to target 100,000 patients. And this growth is driven by the pipeline that we've already built. Here's what matters most, our partnerships. So Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont is piloting us now, Ascension Health and Prime Health, one of the largest health systems in America, Loma Linda University Health. And we've opened discussions with UCR Medical School as well as Blue Zones. And we're really excited about that because these organizations are really validating our vision. Our team has done this before in different ways. I come from J&J and Amazon, where I led product development and scalable healthcare solutions. My co-founder, Amanda Cruz, our president, she builds payer partnerships. She's been doing this for over a decade. And Dr. Scott Durgan is our chief medical officer, who is an American College of Lifestyle Medicine physician and fellow. And he really brings the credibility to what we're building in the clinical space. So why choose Feirie? We can help thousands in Riverside avoid chronic disease, create healthcare jobs, and drive economic growth. Beyond capital, we're looking for partnerships, introductions to local clinics, physicians, contracts with employers and community organizations, and infrastructure support as well. So we look forward to making these connections and making it happen here in Riverside. 10 years ago, I watched my father be diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which today we know is type 3 diabetes. We also know that chronic diseases like diabetes is preventable. And so we really believe we can do this through the science and technology available to us today. We believe Riverside deserves better than watching loved ones decline from these diseases. And we have a chance to lead and really show the country what it can look like when a community comes together and invests in prevention. Thank you.
Roosevelt.
Well, so in general, I think that I'll start by having more drawings or schematics in your presentation is very dry.
Wordy.
Yes, and also the lettering is very small, so hard to read.
Okay.
right? And so that's just from the steps, right?
Yes.
The other part that I'm trying to get a handle is that it's not clear in your message really who pays here. Because in some cases you mentioned the payer, but also it says $99. So it's, I don't know if it's me, I pay or the payer pays, and then there's a disconnect between the $150 million sum. Because it says so it says that, like, this is for the technicality, but is it like your market, or is it the market for preventive care? So what, that was kind of like another disconnect for me. So I think that this presentation is very good. I think it's very interesting. Rather than saying I'm working with, because again, I'm talking to Vermont, I'm talking to this, I'm talking to that. It's probably better to show if I am already working with UCR, for example, or Florida County. It feels that you're trying to come here, but versus you are already here.
Gotcha.
You see?
Yes.
So I'm working with Professor XYC or Dr. XYC in Loma Linda, and this is the program, and this is how, rather than dollars, this is really the impact in how many people are you going to save lives, right? Right. So that's, it felt that it still needed some more work in my opinion.
Question, how do you show the outcome of this behavioral health and changing people's lives in this realm has been tried a lot?
Yeah.
So how do you show outcomes?
So there's really two types of metrics that we look at. So one is engagement. So in the current pilots that are going on, the payer, who is the health plan, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they want to see that what they're paying for, their members are engaged with the platform. And so that could look at, how often are they engaging with the app, opening the application, documenting, the behavioral changes that they're making, how they're feeling through the program, and also touch points with the physicians. And then secondly, it's outcomes data. So this health plan has decided to measure through blood work. They're looking at A1C, they're looking at different blood work to get a what is this current state of their patient. And then at the end of the program, which is 12 weeks, they will do a post blood work to see what was their health outcome.
Okay, so I think that would be useful to use, because I think that would be very difficult to prove out.
Yeah.
And if you say this is what we're seeing, then it becomes something that we can rely on.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like a little super squishy, right?
Yeah.
And so, they're changing, but you're not showing me anything. So that's one thing. So show something that something that has been achieved in your beta sites.
Okay.
The other thing is that you have a dilemma here about it's being paid by somebody, and then you have a physician in the middle of this, and then you have the patient. And the physician that is in the middle is the primary care practitioner who has no time in today's world. So how do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, so great question. So the payer really, being the health plan, they're really already partnered with this practice or this physician, because that means majority of their patients are Blue Cross Blue Shield covered, right? So that we're very specific, or they're targeted with the groups that they want to work with. Also, usually the physicians that they work with are certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which means they're already looking for solutions that they can prescribe to their patient. And to your point, they don't have time. And that's where our technology comes in, where they can sit with the patient their normal 15 minutes, and then instead of just prescribing them their diabetes medication, they will also prescribe them Feirie, which they take home to engage with our patient.
You need to tell us that you're saving physician time.
Okay.
It's not enough in this world to say that I'm saving lives.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. But in this world, you're saving time to the most impacted physician. If you save time, because this to me, right now, the way you've presented this, it adds time,
Right,
not saves time.
okay.
Like
So
somebody,
save time, yes.
somebody has to
Better.
actually manage this.
Right.
Physicians don't manage.
They don't manage it, they just prescribe it.
And so you need to say that.
Okay.
Scott, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still confused about what you're actually doing. I mean, I understand it's an app, but I mean, I think everyone who has a health plan has some app that that we're encouraged to use. And I don't know if anyone in the room uses it. I don't use the one that we get through UCR Health because it just is lame. And so I understand. I'm not saying that they can't be improved, but there's so many app competitors that are
Right.
already used by the big healthcare providers, and without tying what you're doing to actual patient data in terms of, like, for example, like I get more information from this Whoop device than I would ever get from any app that any healthcare whatever insurance company would tell me to use. And so I'm just not really getting how this really is going to help patients in your presentation. I think you pitch very well, and I think the deck is very good. It's not anything about that. I'm just confused about why is this even, there's no like, when you're pitching the problem, it's like, oh, another app for insurers. Who cares? And that's, I think, maybe figuring out a way to tell a little bit more from how you're helping the patients. I know you said things in your presentation, but like Joya said, it felt a little hand wavy to me. Like, we're going to help reduce all these chronic illnesses. Well, are you really? And how are you going to do it? So I'm a little confused still on what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Just to clarify, we're not just an app. So this Blue Cross Blue Shield program, these people actually meet together with a physician or nurse practitioner in person or virtually weekly through our program. We have an app to support, but that's why the community connection and partnership is really important, because we realize the real human experience is actually crucial in this.
Yeah, so show data, I think.
I missed that. Yeah, I missed that. So maybe it's in there and I missed it, but that didn't come across to me. And I don't know if Galen, if it came across to you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
Thank you.
Oh, we're done? Okay, never mind, Galen.
Thank you. No, thank you. Great job.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name's Ankit, and I'm the head of operations with Glid. What we're doing is we're building the future of road-to-rail transformation. We're building the world's first patented vehicle system which goes on the road and on the rail, essentially a truck train, if you may. Why? Well, freight is literally moving the hard way today, and at Glide we knew we had to do something to change that, to make it cheaper, to make it effortless, and to save energy while enabling existing infrastructure to work smarter for us. To explain what I mean, let me start with the problem first. The problem today, the true scale of transport inefficiency. Freight is the lifeblood of our economy. It literally keeps our goods moving from one place to another, how we actually receive our parcels on our doorstep every day. But yes, despite the scale and sophistication it carries, it's one of the most overlooked industry when it comes to innovation and technology. Every year, the US loses hundreds of billions of dollars in just traffic congestions. Not just that, but billions of gallons of diesels are lost in drayage or dwell times where truck drivers just sitting on the road waiting for a container to get loaded on the trucks. And despite rail proving to be 3 times more efficient and cost effective, it's still underutilized, less than 30%, as you can see. And this underutilization, it clogs freeways, damages road and infrastructure, thereby increasing the repair costs and essentially choking our supply chains. And so again, the problem is that freight is moving the hard way. Now, as of today, the only way that a container or freight moves from the road to rail is through a complex process called transloading. Transloading is literally where trucks and trains marry each other. It sounds efficient, but it's actually quite the opposite of that. But it's actually quite the opposite of that. Picture this, a truck drives into the container. Now this container is lifted up by a massive crane put onto a temporary staging area, post which a yard hostler comes, picks it up, and then puts it into another staging area. After that, another set of equipment like forklifts, load stackers, chassis, then lifted up to finally load it onto the locomotive. But the story doesn't end there. The locomotive cannot move on from the rail track unless it's full to the brink, or else these billion-dollar companies won't make enough money. So 5+ moves, 6+ machines, 20+ workers. As you can see, it's actually moving the hard way. And at Glide, we knew that there was a better way to do it, so we designed it. But before I talk about the technology, I want to talk about how we actually compare. As of today, a legacy transload operations dealing with first mile logistics spends about anywhere between $650 to even $2,500 per move. That's insane. With Glide, you're saving 62% of 62 or even more percentage of that. More importantly, we're saving about 110 million to 180 million metric tons every year. So definitely contributing significantly to the carbon footprint here. And more importantly, in general, staging times, which takes about 2 weeks to 6 weeks, now gets shortened to less than 24 hours. So we are cutting costs by more than half. We are reducing staging times by tenfold, and we do this by cutting redundancy. So all this excess machinery, we don't really need them when we can actually have a simplified process to move goods from point A to any point B. Now, coming to the secret sauce of the technology. On the top left, you're seeing the Glide M. This is a manned workhorse capable of lifting a 20-foot container all on its own, latching onto its back, and going from point A to point B on the road and on the rail. It's FRA certified, DOT certified, basically road and rail legal. And we launched 2 of these just about a week ago. On the bottom, you're seeing Raiden, which is a dual-use orchestrator. Raiden is capable of getting under any trailer, latching onto the trailer and going on the road and on the rail, basically point A to point B, autonomously. And we have Ezra 1.6, which is the brain of it all. Ezra 1.6 has the capability to track, plan, and manage every move autonomously. It uses hundreds of parameters, weather data, rail data, traffic data, basically an end-to-end logistics system which marks each and every point and connects it. So hardware and software unite, optimizing transit flows with one vehicle, one move, and minimum human touch points, thereby eliminating 100% of logistical complications which we see today. As for the business model, we operate in a mobility as a service platform, charging our customers $300,000 per year. Now, think about it this way. On an average, Port of LA moves 70,000 containers every single day. At Glide, even if we move 100,000 containers every year, we're looking at an ARR of more than $15 million. Our target markets is vast. We move everything which moves or which needs to be moved. On first mile support, we're looking at ports, industrial parks, rail yard, short line rails. On the commercial side, we're looking at lumber, oil and gas, and tapping into untapped opportunities like waste management, transporting waste from one point to another as well, and definitely dual-use military applications. Sorry. Our market size is massive. Then again, we're moving everything, or we're targeting everything which moves. With a global TAM of $20 trillion, we're unlocking $100 billion US for freight and first mile logistics opportunity with agriculture, mining, naturally each and every industry which you can think of. You might have heard a lot of beautiful names pop up, like Tesla building electric semis, or Vaptec building cleaner locomotives, or Parallel Systems and Intramotive actually building autonomous rail cars. And they're great companies building great products, but they're solving just pieces or parts of the puzzle, while Glide is the one connecting these puzzles, thereby enabling existing infrastructure like rails, ports, short line rails, industrial backyards, which, by the way, today sit underutilized. We make them dynamic moving pieces of the puzzle, so they're dynamic moving hubs. For timeline, we just deployed 2 Glider M units. For the next quarter, we're looking at system integration and hiring a lot on the tech stack, especially operations inside Riverside itself. We are looking at launching our pilot in Great Plains the quarter after that, while also working on our workforce development, post which we're looking at expanding our fleet to 5 to 10 Glider M's to finish our rest of the promised pilots too, And at the end of the next year, we're looking at preparing for Series A round funding and launching Mark II, which is the second prototype of Trade-in. Now, naturally, our go-to-market strategy looks pretty simple. We're looking at pilot programs, city partnerships, commercial deployments. We're looking at national defense and dual use as well. So any help there, please contact me. We can do some business here. We're looking to allocate these funds, 40% going into just hiring talent, especially from UC Riverside, given I'm a UC Riverside alumni too. And the rest of it going into market discovery and building the next prototype. We're not looking at any revenue right now, but once we launch our pilots, we're looking at phenomenal revenue crossing $17 million by 2026 December. Our traction has been, again, phenomenal so far. We have raised about $7 million in funding, secured 5 pilots already, and we're looking at $70 million in signed LOIs. And just 3 weeks ago, we won TechCrunch Disrupt 2025, recognizing Glide as one of the best transportation logistics startups in the entire world. Team is beautiful, brilliant, comes from decades of experience for companies like SpaceX, Bombardier, Boeing, Boast VC, Watco, Uber, ExxonMobil, and we're backed by phenomenal partners like Outlander, Antler, Sloss & Co, Capital Factory, and the list honestly keeps going on. So we want to empower a new era of freight because this is the next move. This is what's going to change, and this is the need of the hour today. With any kind of collaboration, we are happy to collaborate. So having said that, the next time you think of shipping it, don't ship it, just glide it. Thank you.
Martin.
Well, you know, we've had this conversation before, so you know what's coming.
Yeah.
But I won't ask that question first about that. I'll do you a favor. You are projecting some pretty lofty metrics. Are they estimates, projections, or are they evidence-based? I would suspect maybe the latter rather than the former, since you've just started with the 2 units right now. Pilots, number 1. Yeah, you know, the cost elimination and the uptime guarantee and so forth. Those are tremendous metrics. With regard to your pilots, that if they are not yet evidence-based, do you intend them to be evidence-based? Do you have a process with your pilots that you're going to be actually deriving these calculations?
Absolutely. Excellent question. Well, let me go to this pretty quickly on the pilot. So these are a couple of B2B customers which we are looking to pilot with right now. Taylor Transportation, Sierra, Glid, Great Prince Industrial Park being the closest one. Now, the way we are working is because we're the first movers, we're looking at their problem statement and then tailoring it to how they would need it. Some people might require just to move just 1 container. Some people might require to move 100 containers per day. Now, it depends on what the requirements are. But these metrics, they're all based on calculations which we have done so far with all our engineers working on these calculations on and off continuously for I think maybe the last 1 year maybe.
Thanks. So I'm just going to toss it out to you again, and that is you've raised 6.7. By the way, are those deals closed?
I would be happy to sign a term sheet with you to get into the details of that question.
Okay. If that is indeed the case, what's up with pursuing $70,000?
Yep.
And that's a brilliant question. And just so everyone knows, the price money of TechCrunch was $100,000, even though that's not the point of TechCrunch. Money, the traction is the point. But every single dollar helps us actually grow this business. The tech is expensive. The hiring is expensive. Everything takes money here. So every single dollar literally helps us. Just for starters, when I was in SF, I urged my company to not pay for my hotel. In fact, all of us in the entire leadership team, we made sure to live with some of our friends or family during our events and conferences so that we save this money and put it back into the company, build and grow. So even though it looks like we've raised $7 million, that's not non-dilutive funding. That's dilutive. We have given shares. We've given a lot of parts of our company. So at the end of the day, we're losing quite a bit of money doing that. But non-dilutive funding helps us kind of stay boots on ground, that even if we are merging into a different parallel, we're still safe and we can survive.
But that was my question too. Like, what will that $70,000 do for you?
I recently got promoted, by the way, as the head of operations for Riverside, and I want to build my own team here, starting right here in UCR, given that I'm a Highlander. 40% of the $70,000 goes directly into hiring talent from UC Riverside, especially UC.
It's like 30,000.
The rest of it goes into development of the next prototype, because right now we made the first prototype of the defense of the dual use vehicle, which is the flatbed orchestrator. Now that's the first prototype. To validate our proof of concept, we need to build the second prototype and then third before putting it onto market. Each of those prototypes takes about $150,000 to even $200,000, maybe more in the second one to build. So then again, most of the money goes there, and of course, acquiring market and biz dev opportunities.
Okay, you went too long, so you have a lot of data. It's very valuable. What would you cut to tell us the story?
I would say I would probably cut down a little bit on the financial projections, because that's me. And I would cut down probably on this slide, talking about empowering. But more or less, it's a story which I want to project. So I can remove parts of it, but until I start from the very scratch, the complexity of the problem, it wouldn't make sense for me to go ahead.
Can I add something also
Yeah.
to your point? Which shows where the timeline where the pilot is going to take place. Timeline.
The timeline?
Back. There.
There you go.
So, okay, so deploy Glide units right now. So you're deploying Glide units right now, $150,000 each.
No, $150,000 is for Raiden. The glider M each costs about $400,000.
Okay, so you're deploying them right now.
Yeah.
With the money that you raised with your $6.7 million.
Actually, that's through lease. The glider M's are leased.
Okay, so and it says in 26 Q2, you're going to use our pilots in Great Plains.
Yes.
Great Plains,
Industrial Park,
where is that?
Kansas.
In Kansas.
Yes.
Okay, 40% of all the freight that comes from Asia comes here. The Port of Long Beach, the Port of Los Angeles are the largest, if not the busiest ports in the US. Why are you doing, to me, why am I doing, for this competition, right? Not TechCrunch. Why am I doing a pilot in Kansas when you have the heart of the reason this is very interesting is because we are logistics central, right? This region. And this technology could be of great help to this region. So I would like to actually talk here. I introduced Kevin to our EEP, to all the major logistic companies in the region. What have you talked to them? Why aren't we doing pilots with them? So to me, this deck needs, sorry, but I will actually put it into the landing to here because there's a lot to say and it's not about this region.
Yeah, so I think you got the comments. You got the gist of it. Too much, way too much on the tech, not enough on the team, and a lot going on here in terms of where you're having pilots. This deck is your tech start deck.
That's right.
Deck. Tech start deck will not work here because you're not talking about the impact here. And this is about the impact here. So this is for everybody. If you have a tech start deck or a deck from some other competition, you need to reshuffle it. And just too much going on here, but the information is not enough to get, it may be enough to get you to the finals, but it's not enough to win because we need something that wins here. And so in your Q2 2026, looking forward to a pilot in the area, something like that, moving towards that, something in that regard. So, but good job.
Hi, everyone. Indrio develops chemical-based sensors with revolutionary accuracy. And today I'll explain a challenge in the hydrogen economy which is leak detection. And I'll also explain how the prize money will help us meet that challenge. And hydrogen is already here in our vehicles, in our industries, in our energy supply. And there's also the hydrogen refilling station just down 91. And so the problem is we're facing this critical challenge of $5 billion from leaks in the hydrogen infrastructure. And those leaks can cause explosions. So the explosion risk is also increasing. And so the existing sensors are bulky, they're expensive, and ironically, they are actually an explosion risk themselves. So we really need a new solution. That's why we invented the Primus hydrogen sensor. And the amazing thing is that it's the most sensitive and the lightest weight hydrogen sensor available. And so it's this combination of sensitivity and portability so that we're able to have a wearable sensor, have it on a drone, and also install it in these difficult to reach places. And other sensors do not have this capability. And we've got a great reputation from our Department of Energy grant. PG&E, which is a large utility, actually joined us to do the field testing part of that work. And we're also targeting businesses in Riverside like Hyundai. They have a facility that makes hydrogen trains. And so we want to extend that safety that the sensors bring to prevent explosions to Riverside. And that extends also to the public and to the environment because hydrogen has a greenhouse warming potential. So the hydrogen sensor market is valued at $3 billion. And we're targeting the thousands of facilities that need multiple hydrogen sensors. So think PG&E, think these oil and gas companies. And then we'll move into vehicles and home detection, which brings that number of units to the millions. We're able to have this amazing combination of performance from technology spun out of Stanford. And we have a patent pending for the core technologies of our hydrogen sensor called Primus. And this includes thin film technologies from the semiconductor industry. This is magnetron sputtering, and also nanotechnologies. These are microscopic beads in our thin films. And those technologies actually build upon our existing sensor technologies. So Indrio sells other sensors. And so Primus is our new sensor that we're adding to our portfolio, which is possible because our core technologies can apply to many different markets without much modification to the technology. And so how does Primus stack up against the competition? And we actually compete with laboratory grade analyzers, which are basically having this similar sensitivity. And let me give you an idea of the sensitivity. I'm thinking about a dog's nose. You can smell a mouse across a football field. So that's that level of sensitivity. That's what that 10 parts per billion means. And for us, it's the combination with the lightweight. So you can wear it, you can put it on a drone, and these other sensors do not have that capability. They're the size of a mini fridge. And we're also able to beat the competition on cost. So that combination of sensitivity, lightweight, and cost is our winning combination. And so in terms of our go-to market strategy, we actually have learned from our other sensor sales that it's the in-person demonstrations that get the most sales response. And so we're wanting to go to Austin. We have invitations from our partners and our prospective customers to do the in-person demonstration. And they're literally waiting for our prototype to get ready. we'll also explore channel partners, and importantly, we're in discussion with oil and gas companies who need large amounts of these sensors to meet their compliance and safety requirements. And that's how we can meet this $12.5 million revenue in just 3 years, because they make large orders of hundreds, even thousands of these sensors. And now the money. So we expect our first sale by the end of 2026 with a unit price of $25,000 at a 50% margin. And those negotiations with the oil and gas companies is how we'll meet this production rate. And I'm also proud to say that we can build the Primus in-house, which is very important for being able to meet these targets. And in terms of our traction, we have built our lab prototype from our Department of Energy grant. We have those formal partnerships with oil and gas companies from that grant, and we're having invitations from our partners to go to their sites and do the demonstration. They want to see our prototype in action, and we're really excited to use the money from this prize to be able to go there. And all this is possible because of our team. Our CEO, Rito, brings 15 years of his PhD and postdoc work at Stanford. And the team is balanced out with business developers and experienced engineers like myself, in addition to decades of domain expertise from our advisors. And just to quickly go through this, our 12-month timeline is getting the prototype ready, making it to Austin, and converting those leads into sales at the demonstration. And that's what we'll use the funds for. We're going to use the funds from this prize to get the prototype ready, to travel to Austin to do the demonstration, and to convert those sales, convert those leads into sales in person demonstration. And I want to just finish on the very important note that by supporting the sustainable energy scaling with better hydrogen sensors, we're actually having better health outcomes for the public. And it's actually the underprivileged that are disproportionately affected by the emissions because they're living closest to the train tracks and to the highways. And so basically every hydrogen train that replaces a diesel train is a win for our communities. And so Primus is able to make hydrogen accessible and safe and keep that public trust as we make the hydrogen and clean energy transition. Thank you so much.
Galen, are you around?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Excellent.
All right. No disrespect to my colleague, Scott, who is a UT alum, but I just got to put it out there. You're asking for prize money to help a pilot in Austin. That does nothing for Riverside County. And you're going to have to address that. Yeah. All right. We are local. It's okay that you license the IP from Stanford, but that's also Stanford as well. You let off with that, and you're at UCR. So you gotta, if you're gonna pitch UCR, we need a local angle to it. So that's a big one for me right there. And I'm from Texas, by the way, but I try to keep my money in California. Yeah, born and raised in Dallas, and I'm trying to stay here, and I want to keep my money here. So FYI.
Sure.
What's your TRL right now?
It is in the 4 to 6 range, and we have a history of bringing these technologies to market, so we can get that right up within the year.
Okay, so I had a little confusion. For the sake of time, I'll let you get to the other questions because I think feedback's important. But I did have a question about if you do or do not have a prototype, and if you do or do not have partnerships, how do you have partnerships and you don't have a prototype and you're still trying to build the MVP? That was a little confusing to me as far as where you really stand with things. So that there might be some more clarity, and maybe I just don't know enough because it's the first time hearing about you. I like what you're trying to do. I know about the market and sensors. I think you're in a great space. And hydrogen is very tricky. So I understand going to Texas. But to my earlier point, I think we need a local angle, if only for this particular contest dollars. Your company name threw me off because you kept saying Premise, and I was wondering who the hell are they in your Indrio Technologies. So stick with one or the other. But I think I'm a good proxy for if you get to the finals. If someone's hearing about you for the first time, a couple of minutes, the last thing you want them thinking about is spending 30 seconds, 45 precious seconds trying to figure out who are the names or what's the nomenclature that you're using. So pick a name and stick with it. All right. I think that's it. Oh, the other thing is the drone. You don't have to comment on it, but I know hydrogen fuels are very tricky, even driving on hydrogen fuels. And I was wondering if a drone, while it sounds sexy and cute, if that adds another layer of risk in case something goes wrong. It was just a thought. I'm just putting it out there so you have an idea of maybe what some audience members may think about in the future. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And can I just add one thing because Galen covered everything I was going to say, but one quick thing is, and I hate to sound like a broken record here, but this is for all the startups. You gotta talk about the region, guys and gals. You gotta pitch the region, and so Galen already made the point, but I want to make it again. You said build in-house. I mean, do we know that you're based in Riverside? I mean, maybe I do because I've mentored you guys for 2 years, but I mean, I would say we're going to be building these things in Riverside, to Galen's point. And I also would, instead of saying, we want this money to go to Austin to get customers in Texas, why not use the money for business development for our local customers like PG&E and et cetera. So anyway, that's all I want to say, but good pitch.
All of that was in my script.
Okay, well, I was also taking notes while you were pitching. So I'm not saying you didn't say it, but to me, this came across as what Galen said. You're a Stanford startup, and you want the money to go to Austin. That's what I got out of the pitch. If I wasn't, paying absolute minute by second attention, and the judges are going to be probably in the similar boat because they don't know anything about you.
Vala, I listened to you a few times now, so I'm getting it more and more every time I listen to you. One thing that, and it was addressed by the other mentors. I was unclear about your prototype. Do you have it? How does it look like? Is it big? Is it small? And or are you still going to develop it?
Yeah, we have a lab demonstration done. And this is
so that first picture is the prototype?
So yes, this is in the lab, and then basically the work is to get it from the lab into this chassis so we can take it into the field.
And that's the next sort of your next milestone is to make it tiny.
Yes, and it will fit in there. Yeah, it's ready to go in. It just takes some work for the electronics and the optimization.
And do you have data that sort of shows your detection limits and other things?
Yes. So we have that demonstration data.
Go back to the slide that you have your you have some data right there.
Maybe this one or
no, the previous one. One more.
Oh.
Where you show the spectrum.
Oh.
Right there.
Maybe this. Yeah.
Maybe talk there a little bit about.
Yeah, the graphics, the problem is that hard to tell what you're seeing.
Yeah, because here you're talking about the sensitivity, but it is difficult to understand.
Yeah,
but you have the data there.
Yeah, here's where I should have said the dog nose part, to give people a sense of, we can smell this thing from hundreds of meters away.
Yeah.
That's the point here, right?
And what's the importance of that exactly?
Yeah.
And how it differentiates you from everything else. That pretty much nothing else quite exists, right?
Yeah.
Basically, there's one other one that can do it, but they're the size of a refrigerator.
Big one, right?
Question. You mentioned in your presentation that you have other products, other sensors.
That's it.
What's your revenue as a company?
It's
sales.
We have 1.4 million in revenue.
Sales.
Yes.
Okay. So far.
Okay, not for this product.
Not for this
Understood,
product though,
not for this
total
product.
for the company.
Because you're local, we know that one of the challenges that you have had in the past is that you needed $6 million to be able to manufacture the sensors here. Right? So my concern here is that why are we, so if we're going to do, we're going to have a pipeline of sensors, you're generating $1.5 million, where we knew that we needed to get investment in manufacturing so you can scale. Why are we doing hydrogen, number one? Whereas why don't we prepare the other because we have the California Resources Board, we have others.
Sure,
This is one different question, right? And the second question I had is that I didn't see, we have Arches. It's a $2 billion investment from the state. So going back to the locality, Arches hydrogen is a $2 billion investment. I didn't see anything that about different to that, right? So there is also that Peter missing about why this and why what, because you have all these other sensors that you are going to put on this on the truck, right? That are circulating. That part is missing about English. So I like
you know too much about this, I think.
I know, but it's a problem, but it is a problem, but also it's an opportunity because it's remember that you pitched last year. Right? So rather than saying I'm coming here for the first time to do something new, it's like, look, all of this has happened in this past year. We have learned this new thing, and it's a great opportunity versus I'm going to actually generate a prototype to generate more data so I can go to Kansas or to Texas. So all right, I think you need to potentially have another discussion because to me, there were a few things that were missing here, which have to do with how much investment goes into this before you actually have a product. And to Galen's point, the confusion, and you and I talked, confusion between the company and the new product, right? Indrio, but the other thing is, please introduce yourself when you come up. You started talking about Indrio, you never said who you are, and you never said why us, why here, why now. Okay, so that why us, why here, right now is really important. That's for everybody. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean Cutler. I'm a professor at UC Riverside and the co-founder of a new startup called Living Sensors. We engineer crops so that they can send really easy signals to their growers and tell the growers how to make management decisions that improve the bottom line for them. So to put this in some context, this is data on cereal yields in the United States or across the globe from a couple years ago. And you can see the United States is crushing it along with a few other places in the world. You might think that agriculture is amazing. These are historically impressive yields. But when you zoom in at the scale of an individual field or region in the agricultural landscape, what you see is tremendous heterogeneity in yield. And this can be due to things like pathogen pressure, soil quality, water availability, and a host of other factors. And where agriculture is heading is called precision agriculture or digital agriculture. And the idea is to take all sorts of different data streams and use that data to make management decisions that improve yield and lower costs for the growers. So the specific part of that space that we are most interested in has to do with pathogen detection. And in particular, a pathogen called Fusarium, which is a major source of crop losses globally and in the United States. This map shows the areas of the United States where it's a particularly big problem due to the environmental conditions. And as I'll mention in a couple slides, there's huge economic losses that we think we can recover with the technology that we've developed. So we have core technology that was developed here at UC Riverside that involves an issued patent as well as a few provisional applications that allow us to do something we think is really remarkable. We can take a plant and we can genetically engineer it so that it can recognize chemicals that we program the plant to recognize. In this case, the plant has been programmed to recognize a banned pesticide, And when that pesticide is added, they produce this very easy to see red pigment. And so our plan is to build these sensor plants, or sentinel plants as we call them, for fusarium detection. And our model is to work with partner companies like Corteva, Syngenta, the big agriculture companies, develop the traits that will allow us to program plants to have these pathogen detection systems, and then license the traits to these big companies who have access to the seeds and the germplasm that modern farmers grow. Our first product will be for detecting fusarium in wheat, where it's a $500 million or greater losses a year. There's about 48 million acres in the United States where wheat is grown. Based on that map I showed you earlier, we think about 20 million of those acres are high-risk area acres. And in those high-risk acres, there's probably a subset of farmers that are going to be using cutting-edge technology to address those problems. We think that there's about $150 million of value creation in this one crop alone. About $5 per acre is what we think farmers will pay for the improved yields. Globally, though, this is probably a $1 billion market. And so longer term, we can envision expanding this from wheat to other crops and from the United States to more global distribution. So the space that we operate in is an emerging area of plant biotechnology. There's a company founded about 8 years ago called Interplant. Interplant currently has a valuation of about $150 million. And they too are developing sentinel plants, and they've established that there's a route forward for this type of technology. They use a different approach to their pathogen detection. So without getting into the technical details, they use a technology that leads to lots of false alarms or false positives. So they can tell you when there's a pathogen present in the field, but they can't tell you which specific pathogen. They're also working in soybean, which is currently a big problem from the tariff perspective. Our technology involves rewiring this receptor that's shown up on the left there. And with that technology, we're able to very specifically detect which pathogen is attacking the crop. And that allows the farmer to be very targeted in their applications of pesticides. So living sensors tells you exactly what's wrong with the crop, and that allows for better management decisions. So our go-to market strategy is that we will be a biotechnology trait company. So we're going to develop the genetic engineering tools that you can introduce into germplasm. We'll do this by building partnerships with the big agriculture companies, and we'll seek to license these traits, which will eventually, over the long term, generate initial licensing revenue from the licensing deals, but revenues through downstream sales, as well as data subscription services that will be selling the data to the farmers to tell them where and when they need to be applying their pesticides. In terms of our 9-year financial picture, we think we can get to the point where we would have the first trait to be licensed in about 3 years of development at about $3 million burn rate, and that we should be able to license our first trait by year 4. Based on industry standards, we think a typical deal would be about $5 million for an initial license with subsequent milestone payments, and then later on revenue streams. Because this technology is portable, each one of those would be per crop. So we think that there's a lot of room for growth once the basic technology is proven. Our core team involves myself, my co-founder and collaborator here at UC Riverside, Ian Wielden, who is a professor of chemical environmental engineering. We have 2 board members and advisors, Oren Littman and Kevin Sullivan. Kevin has over 20 years of experience in the biotech space and started a company that is on the Toronto Stock Exchange. and Oren exited a company involved in the veterinary space for several billion dollars a couple of years ago. In terms of what we're going to do if we're awarded the prize money, our goal is to develop a Fusarium Sentinel plant by the end of year 1. So the plant that I showed you detects pesticide that's been banned. We already have all of the pieces for bringing this together. So we have the Fusarium sensor technology and we have the reporting technology. We just have to put them together into a target plant. Based on current timelines, we think we can do that within a year fairly simply. And we do intend to be based out of the campus's MRB incubator space, and we'll use some of the funds for basic research and paying a full-time employee or half-time employee to do that. And with that, I will end the presentation.
So when I listened to you previously, I somehow assumed you already have this detector plant that can detect Fusarium. But what you really have is another one that proves the concept, which it detects pesticide. And you now know what kind of reporter you will use to engineer the plant and get it in 12 months. But then what comes after that? You tell me before you would be able to license it. Do you have to do some greenhouse trials, field trials? What is that plan? Or you also said I can detect multiple factors. How would you do that?
So okay, in terms of where we're at, let's say on the development timeline, there's a laboratory part that involves like making these sensors, and then there's like a biology part that involves putting them into plants. So we have in that first stage, the laboratory part. If you can't get that, then the rest fails. So we already have these sensors for the Fusarium molecule. We just have to get them into a target plant, which we think is technologically not the real challenge. After that, yes, we will need field data, and that would be year 2. There would be greenhouse studies in there that would help with the validation. Don't know if that answers all of your question. In terms of getting to a point where we could license the trait, I think we're going to need probably at least 1 or 2 years of field data. So I think the timeline that we've built in here is reasonable for getting there, maybe a little on the ambitious side, but getting it into the field and demonstrating that it works outside of the lab is really the main push in the beginning here.
But it's still very early. Correct?
We're definitely early stage. I mean, many plant biotechnology companies start off like this.
And in terms of the connection to the region, it's really your like a licensing income, or what would you?
No, I mean, I think that our plan based on early investment would be to start a UCR spin-off company that's based out of the MRB and employ people in the Inland Empire and contribute to the growth of the Inland Empire biotechnology space, which is sadly underdeveloped. So yeah, no, we're doing this here. And longer term, if we're talking at the end of that 9-year timeline where there's products being sold, that would be across the country or globally. But I mean, in the biotechnology space, it's going to be small startups that are employing people locally and will be based on the Outer Riverside.
So Sean, listening and viewing your presentation, I was mostly seeing we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and yet I was hoping that you might at least have some precursor data that you might be able to share relative to efficacy, sensitivity and specificity and so forth. You may have mentioned it. If you did, I missed it entirely, and I'll apologize for that, but I didn't see it. And
Your question on that?
Yeah.
Can you answer that?
What?
I can answer that, but I'll let you. I'll let
Yeah,
you
what,
continue.
yeah, I'm just wondering where you stand right now relative to sensitivity and specificity. You know, what are your findings to date? I mean, I see you're pursuing the OASIS funding, and I see SBIR is coming into play, but where are you right now relative to, we're gonna do that, we're thinking of doing that kind of stuff?
I guess that maybe there's two questions there in terms of the data.
Yeah.
We didn't know that there would be much value to getting into the nitty gritties, but we do have a lot of data on the sensitivity and the selectivity. What we don't have is the field data, which is what we really need. In terms of where we are, I think we are, you know, a year away from a trait that would, you know, and the validation that we would need to show that we can detect fusarium in the field or outside of, you know, a greenhouse. I don't know if maybe I'm not.
No, I think, no, you're okay. I just wanted to find out exactly where you stand.
With that pesticide, for example, the pesticides, you know, nanomolar levels of sensitivity. Okay. So we can get very, very high sensitivity and good selectivity.
Okay. And what degree of sensitivity and specificity right now, percentage wise?
Well, specificity you usually measure relative to something else.
Yeah.
So, we've you know, I didn't want to get into the weeds, but we have hundreds of sensors, and so it sort of depends on the context. But in the worst case that we've published, it's over tenfold selectivity for a closely related molecule. But that's really kind of there's so much context in that I'm hesitating to.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between a sentinel plant and a reporter plant? You mentioned sentinel, but I saw reporter thereafter.
So okay, so there's a sensing piece and then there's a reporting piece. The reporting that I showed was like the plant's turning red. But we have IP on a different reporter that is a bioluminescent reporter, and this is invented at UCR. So that would emit light instead of looking red. And part of our SBIR proposal is to characterize the relative merits of those two types of reporting. But so the reporter is what you see. The sentinel is the plant embedded in the landscape that is sending signals that you can easily read with a drone or a satellite.
Okay, thanks. And then the least of my concerns is the financials, which you're inherently wrong by definition. But why no cost of goods sold?
Because, well, I mean, does licensing count as a cost of goods? I guess.
All the work that you do towards it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, no biggie.
So I was gonna call on Scott, but we don't have time. What happened?
Sorry, Scott.
I have one question.
Thanks, Martin.
Yeah, he had lots of questions, all of yours. What happens if you have a new pathogen?
Well, okay, again, I didn't really want to delve into the weeds of how exciting our technology is, but that core IP is actually that we can reprogram this receptor to recognize hundreds of molecules.
That's fine. Go to your financial slide.
This one?
The what? No.
There you go.
Yeah, here there's like lots of things that we need to fix.
Okay.
Okay, just $3 million to get you to, you know, something like $1 million in revenue, you know, over the long tail is like not that exciting, right? You're spending a ton of money.
Are you talking about like here at
year
year 4?
Product revenue right there. Or you didn't give us the total, right?
Yeah, maybe we could have like highlighted stuff.
Yeah, see, like your total revenue, like you go 5 million in year 4,
right?
And then you go 1 million in year 5, and then 5 million on the bottom, like, you know, revenue product 2. It's like we're spending, it's $1 bazillion industry, and you're getting $1 million in tail in revenue. So this slide needs to be reconstructed so that we're super excited about giving anybody, not us, because we're not giving you money, we're just giving you comments. But people that are gonna be in the audience will look at this slide and go, why is this exciting? Okay, so we'll need to revise it, but also for your SBIR, when you look at how SBIRs are gotten, SBIR, you have to tell them what the commercial value of something like this is, and commercial value is not very explicit there. So we'll have to work on that. But thank you. Nice
We will
job.
work on it.
Nice job.
So once again, the first green revolution fed the world. The next one has to fundamentally rethink how we grow and consume food at all. I'm Andre from Lux Foods, and we're starting with fruit. Once again, modern agriculture is built for logistics, not people. And a huge part of this reason is supermarket fruit is bred to be large, glossy, and uniform. And this is often at the expense of flavor and nutrition. The best tasting fruit still comes from backyards or small farms, not the grocery aisle. Most fruits in the US are imported, traveling thousands of miles through long cold chains. If you take a look at the chart on the right here, once again, we see that the projections for our US agricultural trade imports in 2024 disproportionately shows $100 billion of horticultural products being imported, more so than any other category. This is a problem. Global supply chains are fragile. You have climate, labor, trade, and disease shocks that quickly show up as empty shelves and price spikes. So what does this all mean? We need a way to truly produce great fruits near consumers without these long, fragile cold chains. Vertical farming was hailed as the future of food. Promise was, if you have indoor, city-adjacent farms, you end up with hyperlocal year-round supply. If you grow upwards, not outwards, then you also use less land. And once again, if you are using closed-loop water systems, you also are able to save on 90% water as well. And once again, billions of dollars were invested into this vision. But in practice, this model couldn't escape some fundamental constraints. The reality is you have massive energy bills to quote unquote pay for the sun with LED and HVAC systems. Secondly, operations are still labor intensive. Seeding, harvesting, and maintenance are still extremely hard to automate at scale. And third, most vertical farms end up growing a narrow range of leafy greens, limited revenue on limited square footage. And all this is just to say that billions were spent, once again, just to discover that growing $2 heads of lettuce in a Tesla factory is not profitable. And so coming back to our original problem once again, we still lack a way to grow high quality fruits and vegetables near people. If you take a look at these different categories here, we have field and greenhouse, such as Nature Sweet and Driscoll's, brands you guys might know. They aren't local because, again, they're shipped away from thousands of miles away. They're not year-round because they're also dependent on seasonality. They are cost competitive. I mean, this is the way we've been doing things for 10,000 years now. But you know, the yield per square footage is not that high because we're still growing on 2 dimensions instead of 3. They're constantly dealing with diseases. They are energy efficient because you're using the natural sun. But it's also not automated as much as something where you have a controlled environment would be as well. Vertical farms, they also face a host of their own problems as well. They solve some of these outdoor farming problems, but they also bring in a slew of their own problems. With Lux Foods, what we're aiming to do is basically get check marks on all the following boxes that we've demonstrated here. And how do we do this? The way we do this is we remove the need for biological photosynthesis from agriculture. Our platform really has 3 different stages where we have inputs for things like commercial tissue culture through plant material and plant food. We have like a scale-up process through production level robots and also in-house built hardware to help scale up the whole process. And then also we're dealing with supply chain logistics as well with warehouses that we want to put right next to consumers that are actually going to be eating our produce. And so really the key here though, that I do want you guys to take away is that what we're able to do is reduce the need for conventional light energies in the process of growing plants by up to 90% so far, and even growing. And the reason why this is so critical is because one of the greatest OpEx levers beyond labor inside of these vertical farms that we've seen is actually light, and specifically energy. And by knocking out 90% of light energy that's needed inside these systems, we're able to bring down the cost significantly. And we're actually replacing that actually with things like subsidized sugars and other sustainable carbon sources that are super easy, super cheap to source, and also very abundant. And so going into our technology a bit, how exactly are we doing this? So you can think of kind of like two different paradigms when it comes to reinventing fruit. One which is a top-down approach where you're shrinking the plant and optimizing certain traits. Another one is a bottom-up approach where you are growing or 3D printing just the parts that you eat. Our approach is something that's a bit more of a hybridization of those things, where we're basically growing the minimal parts that we're eating while maintaining the core plant machinery that's already built into the plants. And what we do here is basically, instead of turning these large, very large tomato plants into what we see on a petri dish where it's being fed these plant foods themselves, what we're actually doing is through some non-GMO processes, able to produce plants on plant food where it's basically just growing the fruits. We've done this at 10x efficiencies of prior results, but also, this has also been reported in other prior scientific endeavors as well. So let's get into the business. Who buys Lux Foods fruit and why? So the most obvious ones are retail and food service buyers. So people such as premium grocers and club stores that want consistent, high flavor fruit with a strong sustainability story. Food service distributors and restaurant groups who need reliable year-round supply for menus and prepared foods. And finally, also CPG and fresh cut brands looking for differentiated, clean label fruit ingredients with stable quality and pricing. And this is a $750 billion market opportunity. Global fruits and vegetables spend is $750 billion. And within that, high-value horticultural products represent a large portion and the fastest growing sector of that. And our go-to-market is specialty small tomatoes first, which represents a $1.8 billion US market and a CAGR of more than 6.46%. How do we win our customers? We're going to lead with founder-led sales. We're going to have pilot programs for them. And also we're going to have data-backed performance where we're showing things like bricks and sensory data to show that people actually like our products. For example, here's an example of a dish that we would really want to get ourselves in, a tomato dish at a Michelin star restaurant. And how do we keep these customers? Through multi-year supply agreements and joint marketing. Our 3-year financial projections show that, we are a hard tech, deep tech company. We will be negative for the first years that we're running just because of capital costs. But by year 3, we're going to have our end-to-end prototypes kind of at production scale. We're going to start moving beyond like a pilot scale facility. And all of these things are going to be able to generate us positive revenue at that point. Our team consists of myself, I'm CEO, Professor Robert Tinkerson, who's here as well, and a longtime friend of mine, and also another co-founder, Govind. We have some prizes in NASA. We've been funded by Gates on our academic endeavors, and also we have several high impact papers in Nature Food and some robotics conferences. We've done more than 100 interviews with customers and industry leaders with a lot of positive reception. And right now we're ramping up production beyond lab scale towards first sales in the next few months. And so our next steps right here, just milestones. We're raising $2.5 million. Specifically, the $70K that we would be getting for this from this challenge is going to help us spur development inside of the region to build pilot plants with the bountiful warehouse space that's here in the region. We want to expand our core team, and we want to finalize out IP licensing as well as progress our R&D efforts. So that's us at Lux Foods. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us to change how we grow and eat. Thank you.
Yes. So maybe hopefully you learned from the previous start that cancel all your transitions. Were those transition slides that you had bullets?
Yeah, so there were a lot of
and that's for everybody. Yeah, no videos or no transitions. That's just a case in point example for it. We've all seen that before, but now you know. That's just for everybody as well. Gotcha, so Andre, I got lost. I I was waiting for you to get to the sauce, and I think it was slide 6.
Slide 6.
Yeah, and I'll put a slight disclaimer. I know about this industry, but you are talking to a sophisticated crowd here. You're at an R1 university. No disrespect to Stanford, but UCR has seen a few things, been around the block a little bit. So I think you wasted way too much critical time talking about the indoor microgreen production and all the failures. That's not accruing to you. That's not a good thing. If anything, you're scaring us and making us think about lunch. So 6, 7, and 8. You lost me. It was too much time, and I'm being really rough with you. To be not rough with you, but I'm being blunt because 1, I think you can handle it. 2, this is a need, and I want this to be educational for everyone else who's listening. So we get through 6, 7, and 8. We suffer through that, and now you talk about and then we're going to start with a $2 billion tomato market. What the hell, man? And that could have been the 3rd slide. Here's the problem. We know food is brought in from everywhere else. Okay, so what's your solution? Explain the solution. You got all this data and information there, and now you're gonna demonstrate this with our first product, tomatoes. So tell me what you're doing specifically to tomatoes and why this market is great, and more importantly, which is not credible, by the way, what's in it for UCR and Riverside? Your whole Riverside argument or case about how you're going to use the $70,000 was not convincing. It was not convincing to me at all. So I think you can shore that up. More power to you. I'm being a little bit more blunt with you because we're later in the day. You've seen a couple of presentations. It's before lunch, and I want this to be educational to everyone. but I wish you well. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and another thing is don't read your slides. I mean, I think we've said that to every founder, but you got to stop reading your slides when you pitch. In my past life as a founder, I've had VCs where they say, close your laptop. You're not using slides to pitch us. So you got to stop reading slides, everybody. That's number 1. I echo everything that Galen said. The only thing I would add is that, maybe to tie it back into Riverside, you could say something like certain parts of the Inland Empire are what's known as food deserts or whatever. But there's zero connectivity to Inland Empire or the region from what I heard. And again, I didn't memorize every word, but it didn't come across at all that there's any reason for a local non-dilutive grant to fund this startup. So I would just add those things. And then the third thing I would say is, do consumers care? And that's something that I think you're going to really struggle with. There's a lot of, to me, this feels like a tech solution looking for a problem. And that's not where you want to be when you go out to, and again, this is more comments for like when you go out to raise VC, not for this particular competition, but just think about that. You really got to figure out if consumers care.
That's it.
Yeah. Rosabelle.
So I'm going to nitpick on something that I'm a little bit concerned. Could you go back to your slide?
Yeah, of course. Which slide?
Go back. That one. No.
This.
The prices and the award.
Sorry, which one?
The one that says that you got all these awards.
Oh yeah.
These awards came from, where did this award come from?
Jefferson Lab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what is that?
UCR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the company.
Sorry.
It's not the company.
Yeah.
It's the lab coming out of the university.
Yeah.
So, right? I've been involved in many of these things, so I know. So it's risky and it's a nitpicking at this point, but really, going back to, it didn't show up about the connection or anything.
Yeah.
This was one of the things that came out of the lab in the development of the space trade.
Yeah.
And the space trade isn't this a UCR IP?
It is.
Okay. So you don't say that. No, we didn't. So no, but it's the whole thing, right? So let's go back. So that's just a thing that I had an issue with. But go back to the story, right? The story is, we said we're going to use this type of technology is going to solve the problem of vertical farming.
Yes.
Right? And the reason, and you explain why the vertical farming didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
So then you talk about light, right?
Yeah.
And how much, and you said that 30% reduction in cost.
Yeah. I don't think we
in
talked about
writing.
reduction.
I thought I heard, maybe I didn't, that you actually.
We talked specifically about how much the light
Okay,
levels
so
go down, but
give me
not
a
the,
number.
yeah.
So give me a number. If I'm going to build the same, you have plenty, ag and a bunch of all these large ag companies, right?
Yeah.
Vertical farm companies. How much money could they have stored? Could they have saved if they had used this technology?
Probably at least 30 or 40%.
Okay,
Of their,
That
of their
doesn't
OpEx.
mean,
Of their
like,
OpEx.
saying numbers,
Yeah.
right? Is it that, because if we can share, and I was trying to get it, so
Yeah.
how much plenty they raised millions and millions of dollars. And they failed because of what you described. So if they have done this in terms of savings, they could have actually, I don't know, maybe they could have had a positive. Because that's what you're trying to
So
say,
you
right?
would have been interested in seeing like a dollar amount, basically.
Something, because it's the magnitude that have gone into vertical, of dollars that have gone into vertical farming is mapped, right?
It is.
And so now you're having a way to say, I'm not going to use light to grow these plants. And maybe this industry is going to be positive. It would have been safe, maybe, because that's kind of like the second part that is also missing is with the space tomatoes, right? With the trade or this, you have the opportunity to increase the mass of product to green.
Yes.
Right, to leafy
Yes.
greens, right? That's not showing here.
I,
In the narrative. So that is missing here. You
So-
have also the possibility
Yeah.
to, why didn't we see a picture of all these tomatoes, which I think I saw before, tomatoes growing vertically, so you can increase the amount of products that you can generate.
So some of my pictures were hidden by the animations actually. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, well, let's put it this way. It sounds to me like you could improve the presentation. The story, to Galen's point, is very critical.
Yeah.
And we've said that to you in the past. It's not about the taste. It's not about anything. To Scott's point, the consumer doesn't care. So I think part of it is that you may need to reframe how you tell the story.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that's what Galen told you originally. Roosevelt here is telling you, reframe it in the context of how it's important to the region, et cetera. But we didn't hear that today. So, with that, nicely done. Scott has a point. You don't read the whole authenticity thing that we were talking about. You've been in this field for a really long time. That's to everybody. You know this story like the back of your hand. If you don't, then you haven't been in your lab for a long time, but you have, you know it. And so just tell it. Just tell it. It's important for you to just tell it, because the authentic self comes out instead of the ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Imagine if, your fruit and your vegetables tasted so much better. Well, it's nothing about that. It's about saving energy. We don't know how it's gonna taste better or not here. We don't. And so you're making us imagine something that we didn't get really the gist of it.
Yeah,
So,
I guess I was definitely going for something more consumer oriented instead of the same energy, because
and my point
someone like you
here,
and I mean,
But you're
might
not
care,
telling,
other people might
but
not.
you're
That's not
saying
the
that you're
story,
selling to the produce people, but really the problem that you are starting to address in the beginning is the vertical farm, the people that actually set up this greenhouse.
Yeah.
Right? And did not make any money.
yeah, you have to reframe the story. But nonetheless, we're on for great tomatoes, and thank you much. Thank you very much.
All right. After lunch is always tough because people are gonna get sleepy. I'm gonna invite my colleague, CEO Subhash, up on the stage as well. So my name is Emerson Simon, Chief Business Officer at Sujen International. And welcome to the Winds of Change, our solution for future clean energy, decentralized clean energy. Now, I'm gonna tell you all a secret. Don't let it leave this room. But in the modern world, everything needs energy, right? Don't tell anybody I told you that. But there are problems, right? Here in California, as progressive as California is, with the clean energy initiatives and transition, there's gonna be a big gap in 2040. And then with the rising strain on our grids by AI, population growth, and even climate change, globally, 20% of the population is going to be affected, negatively affected by that by 2030. And then, of course, the last mile. Energy equity in the US here affects 14% of the population. Now, when you drive around and you see the current technologies out there, when you drive on the I-10 here in this county, and you see these large turbines, they take up a lot of space. They're out that far for a reason because nobody wants to see them. Difficult to transport, and of course, they don't reach everyone. This is where our technology comes in. It's a completely different shift and paradigm shift to how this stuff was done in the past. I think Einstein was the one who said you can't use the same thought process to create the problem, to solve the problem. So here's how we're solving it. When you look at this, it looks like the front of a jet engine. Sean and I came in from New Jersey, and I'm very happy that I traveled on a jet engine than a prop plane because it's just a much more efficient engine. This is a much more efficient generator, particularly because of the design. That's patent number 1 that we own. Patent number 2 is the internals. There are 5 generators inside. Most turbines only use 1. That's very difficult to do. So those are the 2 patents that we have. That allows us to have a low cut-in speed. It allows us to be modular and scalable, 9 inches by 9 inches by 13 inches. This is it right here. It's fully functional. I travel around with this in my check-in luggage. Can you imagine traveling around with a fully functional wind turbine in your check-in luggage, right? So it's built to be modular, scalable, eco-friendly. We're not killing any birds with this, right? And we can take it anywhere. And we can go places where others can't go. This technology was installed. We acquired the technology, but this has been running for 3 years in Huntsville, Alabama, installed, running, operational, no maintenance issues. When you look at the competitive landscape across wind, I want you to focus in on this color map that looks like the globe, because it is. It represents all of the places in the globe where the average wind speeds for those areas. And when you look at it, you see that our competitors are focused in a very narrow band. That's because their technology doesn't work in the other areas. But guess what? 41% of the population is in low wind. So talk about energy equity. That's sub-Saharan Africa. That's urban environments like right here in Riverside. Our technology could be installed in this building and you'd never see it and you'd never hear it because it's quiet. Then when you look at the high wind spaces, I'm not talking about hurricanes, but they don't even operate in that space because they shut down. That's where our technology shines. So when you look across the entire wind segment, we're here providing solutions, what we call wind-win solutions. No one else on the planet can provide driven wind solutions, trains, buses. You talked about, our colleague here talked about their delivery systems. We can mount our turbines on those systems and generate energy to recharge the batteries. Forced winds, data centers, HVAC, reusing spent air. And then, of course, where everyone is right now is in the natural wind space, the wind farms. We can play there too. Our competitors can only focus on wind farms and potentially some urban areas. Now, when you look at how this small story is becoming large, we took over this technology. And we launched the 3-pack system, which are 3 cubes. We relaunched the 6-cube system, which you saw on top of the building. We changed it a little bit. And then in 2026, we're going to launch the 9-pack system, as we call it. The 3-pack system was put in place particularly for the military, for their quiet tactical power. Everything they have needs energy. And they've told us that you're going to save lives if you can help our troops recharge their drones and recharge their other mobile equipment with your technology. So we have an active pipeline that we want to execute on. We already have channel partnerships that want to work with us to be powered by the microcube. And then the US government, between California GoBiz and the Trade Department, they've sent us all over the planet to trade shows to showcase our technology. We've been to South Africa, Caribbean, and many places already developing a pipeline of activity. So that drives how we're going to make money. Our revenue stream includes direct sales, includes licensing opportunities for monitoring services as well. And we have distributors that are ready to go. Our 3-year revenue projection, this looks very aggressive, but guess what? We already have a pipeline. We have an interesting situation. Because we were distributors before we took over the technology, we built up a pipeline. So we just needed to be able to manufacture, which is what the previous owner could not do. We already have traction with DoD, the government of Mauritius, South Africa, huge projects there, Djibouti, and right here in the port of LA with a major port development company. Initial project at 5 million with ceilings above 190 million. So our journey started with the acquisition. We quickly moved to validate the supply chain, get our contract manufacturers in place, and making critical enhancements. By the way, we were nominated by the Earthshot twice, in 2024 and 2025. Subhash and I are here. The 2 other critical people, we have a great team. Joe Dargy is our Chief Manufacturing Officer who's put this all together, and our engineering by Robert Kay. The monies that we're seeking will help us continue R&D, $45K, third-party testing right here at UCR in their microgrid facility, and then also $10K for UL certification. Matter of fact, our pipeline activities ask 3 questions. Does it work? Is it UL certified? And where is it installed? And these funds will help us do that. And that will help us complete our R&D, scale, and do it right here in the Riverside County with being able to set up manufacturing. Thank you very much.
Scott.
Yeah, so that's an excellent job. Much improved since we went over it earlier in the week. And yeah, thanks for doing a better job telling the story about the connection to the region and what the use of funds is much better than it was. So I think your pitch is dramatically improved. I think you did a great job of pitching it, and I don't really have any other comments. So excellent work.
All right, Galen, do you have any questions?
Questions? No.
Comments?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've this was good. I've seen this a few times a couple of months ago with your colleague. So I definitely think there's been improvement from what I've seen a few months ago. Okay. I guess my question and comment is, do you really want to spend time talking about energy, the energy issues, problems, AI draining energy, data centers, et cetera, at large, or do you want to get straight into the wind farms? It sounds like wind farms is your better case, and maybe just stick with that. That in this particular presentation format, that gives you maybe another minute and a half to really drill down. So I would think about that strategically in how you present or how you want to present your company going forward. I think it's more compelling to go straight to the wind farms personally.
Gotcha.
The other component was about distribution and that you're ready to go. I think some more clarity about the unit economics of that would be beneficial. I had a yellow card out to penalize you about talking about a UCR because I'm hearing all these international locations and I'm like, oh, here goes another one talking about the world. And right now, Riverside County is the only thing that matters, but you had a good save at the end. So maybe de-emphasize the international stuff. It wasn't bad. I mean, I think it's good, but just speak to it but move straight to the Riverside. But I thought you did fine. I just think, it's a difference to Scott's point. You did a good job. It's just a matter of maybe driving home a few extra points if in fact you get in front of a local crowd for the finals. But great tech. I think you guys have something. Just speak to it more strongly, and that comes with practice. So good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing you may want to add is just talk about that there's literally hundreds of millions of square feet of rooftops in the Inland Empire that could potentially use your technology. I would throw something like that in there, to Galen's point, just to kind of bring it back out of Africa and some of your other the islands and some of the other locations, because I mean, you have a massive opportunity on rooftops for logistics warehouses in Inland Empire.
Martin.
Emerson, did you say that you could use this to power trains
No, no,
I
no.
see or hear that right?
No.
Okay.
To mount on trains to generate energy and potentially charge batteries that are on the train.
To charge the batteries that are on the train. How many packs would you need for something like that?
That, don't know. We've actually posed the idea to the folks from CSX. Because it always puzzled me, when you see those long freight trains, they have these cars in the middle of them that just are open.
Yeah.
And I asked them, well, what is that for? They said, well, they're slack cars. So they're there for when the train is speeding up or slowing down to basically buffer the motion. So I said to the guy, well, we can put a bunch of turbines on that because it's useless space except for the slack, but wind is going by, right? And so if they have something on the train, we talked about mobile hydrogen generation while the train is moving, and then you offload the hydrogen produced cells, when it gets to site. But we started that conversation with them. It didn't go anywhere, but that's what I meant by that.
Two other questions. Thank you for that, by the way. The $45,000 for R&D, how far is that really going to get you?
Believe it or not, we've done a ton of R&D out of our own pockets. We actually got in at the ANSYS. I don't know if you know ANSYS. ANSYS is a big 3D digital modeling company. They actually allowed us to be into their this small business incubator program where they allow you to access their software for modeling. So some of those funds will go to basically subscribe to that software to help digitally model some of the enhancements we want to make.
Final question for humanitarian reasons is the last one. Financials looking flawed. I always get queasy when you say we're going to turn a profit year one. I don't see enough sales and marketing there. Typically, it takes a heck of a lot of work, even with superior technology such as what you both have. It's going to take a lot of sales and marketing and distribution in order to get to the promise.
I'll take that. Like Emerson said, we've been traveling around the globe as part of US delegation.
I understand that.
We have projects that are waiting. In fact, the first project is probably in South Africa and here. It's pretty large, huge projects, and they're willing to work with our development cycle. The sooner we can produce, they will take it. And our plan is to produce everything here.
Sounds terrific.
Yeah.
I still claim, however, that even ongoing, you might consider
Yeah.
that. This is always a common problem for all startups, however. So it's no big deal. Something that we can always work on.
When we began as distributors and we were forced to become owners now, so we're transitioning.
Yeah.
Roosevelt, do you have any comments?
So, another one that I know a little bit. I know you're part of the Build to Scale program. And also, I heard that one of the areas, and you touched on that. By the way, it was a very nice presentation about the validation piece.
Yep.
I want to hear more about it because I know the impact that we were talking about, at some point, or I heard that take one of those things and put it on top of a truck. Because one of the differentiators that you have is that you can actually operate at very low wind speed. You talk about that. And then what we were saying is how long, and can you just put it on a truck and just demonstrate it, right?
Yeah.
Because the question is, if you have so many orders, what prevents you from selling it right now? Why do I need to do more R&D? Why do I need to do modeling if you're already making it? So talk a little bit more about what you are doing here and what are you demonstrating here with in terms of the deployment, and how is that going to be transformational to supply all those customers that you have.
Yeah, I had a question about, you guys acquired this technology. It sounds like somebody couldn't manufacture it.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
How? Why? Why is it so difficult to manufacture?
It's not easy. It's not difficult at all. What he was doing is he was trying to create his own manufacturing line, create his own technology. Our chief manufacturing officer is from Northrop Grumman. He standardized everything. He said it's no big deal.
Right. But I think that's a complexity that you're going to have to get over.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means that you bring me not a prototype, but you bring me the full product. And so to me, if somebody had a complexity in manufacturing, you have to bridge that.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you did.
Yes.
We did it. Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't bridge it for me.
Right.
So
in the presentation,
you didn't bridge it for me. So either A, don't mention it,
Yeah. Good point.
or B, bridge it.
Yeah.
But And that's basically what Rosabelle is saying, you're
And I
not
would
bridging.
say rigid, not dimensional, rigid,
Right.
right?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. He was trying to, he was building his own stuff, like he was building his own winding machine. Why
Right,
build a
but
winding machine?
you're not gonna say that during the
Yeah.
presentation.
I think we need to,
Yeah.
so we have the whole plan for Inland Empire. We know what facilities we need, we know.
So talk about it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
this is like
I think
this
good, very good
company,
point. Thank
we
you.
already demonstrated,
Yeah.
we are putting these things on with manufacturing. Talk about that
Yeah.
versus the
Because-
Brunei.
And
And
was
I have,
my question too, like, if the previous company failed because of manufacturing, what do you do differently?
Yes.
That
very
you
good
can
point.
actually
I think,
make?
and I have to give you kudos for bringing a prototype.
Yes,
That was
Fantastic.
awesome.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, good for you.
We can fire it up outside too.
Okay, we don't need a fan, we need a heater. So, all right,
Thank you,
Well,
thank you very much.
yeah.
Well, yeah, so we are TollR Air, and we are our UCR spinoff biotechnology company, developing the very first therapeutic on the market to treat non-allergic asthma.
Oh, we can click back.
Just
Okay.
It doesn't want me to
This is
talk.
Galen's fault.
I know.
All right.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So in investigating the high prevalence of asthma in California's Salton Sea region, our lab actually identified a distinct lung disease that resembles non-allergic asthma and is caused by exposure to environmental toxins, namely bacterial lipopolysaccharide or LPS. So now while we studied the health consequences of LPS in the context of the Salton Sea, this phenomena is far more widespread, affecting millions of communities surrounding other global drying lakes, such as the Great Salt Lake, the Caspian Sea, Owens Lake, and many more. Approximately 70% of all asthma cases are estimated to be this subset of non-allergic asthma, affecting about 183 million people again. So non-allergic asthma is actually non-responsive to current therapies, leading to over 455,000 deaths per year and contributing $964 billion to the global economic burden. So TollR Air solution is TollRx, a first-in-class patent-pending combination therapeutic developed to specifically target non-allergic asthma. So our team consists of myself, as well as my partner, David Lowe, and a handful of physician as well as business mentors, such as our lead EIR or entrepreneur in residence, John Shearer. Due to the high prevalence of non-allergic asthma, as well as the fact that our group are the only ones performing this research, we have a potential to tap into a very large market, with our global asthma therapeutic market being about $21 billion, our US asthma market about $8.48 billion, and our California asthma market being about $890 million. So as the first therapy to target non-allergic asthma, our competition matrix here includes our indirect competitors. So these are larger pharmaceutical companies that sell drugs for conventional or allergic asthma. And when comparing TollR Air to some of these larger names, our company truly excels in our scientific innovation, our cost efficiency, as well as our clinical efficacy or effectiveness, providing a scalable formulation and broadening access to treatment for low-income areas. So the target customer for TollR is ultimately wholesale drug distributors, clinicians, as well as patients suffering from this disease. Once on the market, we anticipate licensing our therapeutic to a larger pharmaceutical company who would then handle production, marketing, as well as sales to some of these wholesale drug distributors, who would then sell this therapy to pharmacies or hospitals to ultimately reach the patient. So TollR is a specialized formulation comprising two main components that behave synergistically, allowing for a long-acting significant protection against triggers of non-allergic asthma. And unlike current therapies that only ease the symptoms of allergic asthma, TollR targets inflammation directly at the source to to suppress initial onset of disease. So this is the very first asthma therapy to use this very strategic method, allowing for more precise control of inflammation, as well as improved disease outcomes. So in our preclinical animal studies, we were not only able to show the superior stability of our formulation at room temperature for 5 days, demonstrating its capability to be formulated into an inhaler therapy ultimately, but we also showed that TollR provides significant protection from inflammation for over 12 hours, proving to be 70% more effective than either drug alone. So in summary, our preclinical studies showed us that our therapeutic is 70% more effective than either compound. It provides a 70% peak protection from inhibition, as well as 40% sustained protection for more than 12 hours. It also has superior stability at room temperature. Again, supporting its suitability for inhaler formulation. And our preliminary data very strongly suggests that this therapeutic can also be used to target other diseases that target the same receptor, such as COPD, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, and organic dust toxic syndrome that affects millions of farmers worldwide. In our first year as an established startup company, we've developed a novel first-in-class therapeutic that targets a disease that is debilitating for millions. We were awarded a proof of concept grant that allowed us to develop our formulation, and we submitted a provisional patent, which we will be converting hopefully next year. We've also worked to build some partnerships with essential researchers, entrepreneurs, and residents, as well as physicians in the area to propel our work. Being awarded this funding will help to propel TollR Air forward by allowing us to perform in-depth pharmacokinetics and structural assays to develop an inhaler prototype, as well as apply for our utility patent, allowing us to continue on this journey to bring our therapy to the community by preparing us for clinical trials. TollR Air is all about community-based science and health equity. So our ultimate strategy is to remain involved in the community, and that's by dissemination of educational events, as well as materials such as this comic book that I have here, in which we report a lot of our data to the community in the surrounding areas, as well as partnerships and collaborations with larger pharmaceutical companies to ensure that we're bringing the best resources and products to our customers. So from fall 2024 to date, TollR Air has performed the groundwork in hard science to develop this novel therapeutic, which has slowly shaped our startup company. In the next few months, we intend to apply for an SBIR phase 1, continue testing our formulation in other disease settings, as well as convert our provisional patent. And by 2028, we expect to be in clinical trials demonstrating the significant potential of our drug to enter the market. As for financial projections for our companies, as with many other biotechnology businesses, for the first few years, we anticipate that most of our revenue will be non-dilutive grant funding sources to allow for in-depth analysis of our therapeutic. However, we anticipate that by year 8, we will be entering the market as the very first and only drug to treat non-allergic asthma, again, allowing us to tap into a very lucrative market, generating approximately $133 million+ a year in revenue. Bringing TollR to the market will help significantly improve community health. TollR targets a severe chronic disease that is unaddressed by current therapies. It will allow to enhance disease management, as well as decrease overall hospital burden, improve the standard of care, as well as the quality of life of our communities, as well as reduce global asthma-related deaths, and lessen the worldwide economic burden due to effective disease management. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention and challenge you in joining us in transforming community health. Please feel free to reach out at our email here.
I go after
Martin.
Just a couple things, because I think you had one slide that showed 3 value propositions, and the middle one was scientific innovation.
Oh, our competition slide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get prevents inflammation, I get treats non-allergic asthma, but when you put just a generic topic such as scientific innovation, that doesn't really tell me a heck of a lot. I was wondering if maybe you could be a little bit more specific in terms of what exactly is that innovation. I realize that you go through it in subsequent slides and so forth, but here it presents as at least to me anyway, a little bit meaningless unless you become much more specific about that, quite frankly. So I would consider being, changing scientific innovation into something in terms of, well, what exactly is that innovation, which is the distinguishing characteristic. And then the only other one that I had was, I think in your go-to-market slide as well, I'm accustomed to, and maybe you have it in there. Yeah, right here. Now we're cooking. Yeah, here, typically, when I'm in your shoes, I go to the professional society conferences and so forth.
Yeah.
Board papers or or give a presentation and so forth. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a part
Those
of it.
types of things. And so I just didn't know if I was seeing that there or not.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw comics and all that, but I didn't know whether you were talking about the professional or academic conferences and so forth as well. If you are, cool.
Yes,
All
both,
right.
definitely both.
Lara?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call on Rosabelle after you.
What I was, good presentation. I did not like in the beginning, you had lots of text. That was like small letters. Maybe you can look at it and a little bit fix it. But maybe the only thing I was missing is how long it will take you to get to the point where you could license your technology out or being sold to a pharma company, and how much money and at what phase of clinical trials you could do that.
Got it. Well, we're hoping.
Go to your financial slide for a second.
Oh,
this
right
is
here.
this
That's
guy?
it right there.
That's it. So you don't tell us how much it's gonna take you to actually go and commercialize this. You say you have grants, revenue, like, let's say $2.5 million in grants. Is that all you're gonna have to get you to 133 million? I mean, that's not very much money for a pharma.
Yeah, so, well, we've done all of this legwork with just $75,000. And because we are a small molecule versus like a biologic that typical asthma companies are, it requires much less money to then convert or to have this prototype and then go to like clinical trials or license our technology out. But we are, yeah.
To Martin's point, that may be your competitive advantage. Your small molecule is your competitive advantage.
Okay.
Oh, it's not biologics, right? So
Yeah.
it's much cheaper.
It's cheaper.
It's
Cheaper
so
and faster to FDA approval, yes.
Yeah.
And if I can, on this slide, I saw I had like a conflicting information from you because you say year 833 million. But you also said like, I am going to license this molecule. So I did not quite understand.
Well, we intend to license, but we currently at this point, we want to try to do majority of this ourselves to where we build out our company fully and then get acquired by a firm.
So say acquired rather than license. Because licensing revenue is something little different. And I still would go back to the previous point, which is, it is true that you have a small molecule, which is much cheaper to manufacture, but the clinical trials itself cost extreme amount of money and take some years, right? So that is the cost that it will take you to the point. So can you exit after you prove safety in phase 1, efficacy in at least initial efficacy in phase 2? That will be your probably you will form the partnership with pharma, and that will be your exit point. So maybe make it a little bit more clear. Don't just say we can make it for $75,000.
Yeah.
Because people would not find it credible at all.
Here in this slide, what you want to say is from year 1 to year 7, we're going to spend $70 million, some large number. I don't know what it is, but some large number, because we've all been in the law of large numbers when it comes to this. And you just say something large, I don't know what it is, do your model to develop the technology and take it to phase N.
Phase 2, most likely. Phase 2 initial proof of efficacy.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your point when you then, pharma company can take it forward.
Yeah. Rosabelle.
So is this the patent? Is this the molecule? Is the patent around the molecule, or is it a new use?
The patent is around the molecule itself, so composition of matter, as well as the new use for non-allergic.
Okay, so UCR owns that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and this is more of a pet again. One of these things about how do I get excited about this, and I'm going to read to you an article that came up on October 15 that talks about the impact of asthma in the Salton Sea.
Mhm.
You didn't talk about it at all. And you
mentioned
said
it.
Salton Sea and all these other seas. So let me go on. Now listen to me for a second, right? So he says, this is Professor David Law, who is one of your co-founders, right? And he talked about that for residents in the Imperial Valley living with asthma, there may be a surprising cost, those from the nearby Salton Sea. The incidence of asthma in residents of the Salton Sea, particularly in the Imperial Valley, which we all know is the poorest region in California, is disproportionately high compared to the rest of California.
Yes.
Right? And so then he goes into what he discovered and blah, blah. So he has discovered the cause, right, of this asthma incidence in the Salton Sea. And now you're coming back with the solution, which is this. So that piece is this becomes another biotech company versus what you are really doing, which is solving a problem that is this community, that the researchers identify the problem in this community that is really poor, and now you're coming with the solution, and now you're talking about citizen science and all of that, which is not really straight as a biotech company, but now because we know what community you're trying to help, they need to know the impact, particularly for children, the impact of asthma, right? Which is another big issue. So I think that there's a very interesting, nice story to tell that gets lost into the biotech.
Got it.
Which
Yeah.
is necessary,
So focus
right?
more on that story.
So replace the pig for something around the Salton Sea in the beginning, right?
There's a story behind the pig, but
Well,
I
so
definitely
tell the story
understand what
about
you're
the pig.
saying. Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay, good job. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Let's get set up. All right, perfect. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mike Lachoa. I'm the CEO and founder of Transcend Health. We're a population health tech company. I'm also a UC Riverside alumni, a proud Highlander. UCR has a special, right? UCR has a special place in my heart. I met my lovely wife here. Also started my healthcare journey right here with right after college, so with Merck and Company. This community deserves the best for their first responders, and with Hero Health Hub, which is our proprietary tech platform, we can really come alongside first responders to be able to save lives. We're transforming wearable data into actionable health intelligence. Everyone in the room, by show of hands, how many of you have some type of wearable CGM, something like that, by show of hands? If you could indulge me really quickly. Okay. Well, over 70% of first responders, firefighters have wearable devices. They utilize them personally. However, to unlock actually the data, to take the data from being wearable data private to you as a firefighter, but making it actionable across their whole department or to save lives, that is fragmentation. It's siloed data, and that data is what becomes an issue when you're trying to make informed decisions for fire leadership. At the end of the day, I want to leave you with, as I'll go through it, but I want to leave you with the fact that wearable data and wearables will one day be as important to firefighter health and safety and to do their job, as important as their hard hat, as their axe. Wearables will end up integrating with Hero Health Hub to unlock the capabilities to save lives. And that is the core mission of what we're trying to do at Transcend Health with Hero Health Hub, is to save one firefighter life. So let's talk about the problem, and I'll tell you a story about this. So we have been in population health as a company for a long time with health plans, using our platform to be able to do annual wellness visits, go into homes with our medical teams, and turn around and have population insights for gaps in care and for Medicare Advantage. When we launched Hero Health Hub, I did a tech talk with the IFFA, International Firefighter Association, and we had 36 different fire chiefs and battalion wellness coordinators. They all gave feedback on what they were looking for, and could wearable data help them do their job and give them insights. When we heard the different stories after post the event, we heard stories like, we have firefighters in the line of fire that are having heart attacks and strokes on the line. And when you talk about on the line, what does that mean? We as
patrons. We see them do their job and they fight fires up in the hills and the mountains. But if one person on that line, 15 guys, one of them in the middle has a heart attack or stroke, it puts all 15 in jeopardy. They have to roll back that whole unit. More catastrophe happens. We don't save lives. We don't save acreage. So one thing that we looked at doing is how can we take the data that we have and create instant feedback so that we can roll back firefighters that are in danger at critical. Now that creates one of the major things is uncovering that data and identifying that data. So we have contracted to be able to keep the data secure and safe. And only when we need to have a critical alert do we actually identify that firefighter so we can save their life. When you talk about the problem as a whole, firefighters face 300% higher risk. Over 45% have potential cardiac events from their occupation, because of their occupation. That's way too high, and we aim to solve that. When you talk about some of the macro level things, when you look at this $1 to $6 billion annually of the economic burden, and again, over 39 to 50% of on-duty fatalities are from cardiac events. And then the prevalence of cancer is tremendous in this population. When you talk about the solution, we're already doing it. We have a contract right now with San Bernardino County Fire, 773 firefighters, where we are getting data from their respective wearables, any wearable, and that data ports into our system, and it's creating dashboards for leadership to make key informed decisions. I'll give you one since we don't have a ton of time. Sleep data. On average from our study, 3 hours of sleep when on shift in their 4 days on, 3 hours of sleep. We are now creating shift changes with the battalion chiefs to be able to create 2 extra hours by the engine rotation. Huge deliverable for us with our solution. When you talk in terms of customers, we are targeting some of the largest payers in the country. When you talk in terms of union and employer programs, we have contracts with Teamsters and contracts with other health plans in the area as well as first responders. So what's the market opportunity and attraction? Pipeline, Teamsters Union Q4, San Bernardino County Fire, Hoag Health Estrada imminent, and then Teamsters 1932. When you talk in terms of lives, over 300 million lives that we can have the potential for as far as market size and target potential. And then key point here is ideal for commercial, governmental, and military. We're starting small with 355,000 firefighters, but we have huge application for DoD and military contracts as well. So what's the secret sauce behind the tech? Ingesting wearable data from the first responder, putting it into our algorithms and our LLM, being able to take that, secure it, encrypt it, and then spit out the insights in key dashboards. We have dashboards created for work comp, for San Bernardino County leadership. We have dashboards for the fire leadership, and we have dashboards for the TPAs as well, because that is how we were able to do predictive analytics. When you talk in terms of our competition, I want to be, bold and say we don't have competition, because all of our competitors are our partners. We want to work with Cerner and Epic as an EMR. We have built our own EMR specifically for first responders, but we can partner with them. We also want to partner. We are device agnostic. We want to partner with any device, CGC, any of the devices that are out there that can port bidirectional data and secure it. When you talk about our go-to-market strategy, we're doing it. Large-scale conferences, when you talk in terms of partnerships with local unions and all of the different companies. But I want to hit on UC Riverside. Because UC Riverside has their medical school, we want to build the next future of digital medical doctors. We believe that real-time response to wearable data, to be able to use this infrastructure here at UCR with teaching the medical school practitioners how to take this data and make actionable insights, that's one of the biggest things that I think is a goal for our organization with this program. And then our sales channels, B2B, and also per employer per month revenue strategy. From a financial projection stand, we're a SaaS model. I think that's going to be the most lucrative. We're launching our Fit to be a Firefighter program. It's going to be a social media launch, and it's going to be a freemium where every firefighter can download it nationally. And that will end up being a $5 per month SaaS model that we feel will turn into about $21 million potentially in revenue just from the firefighter adoption and going that direction. Traction wise, we have our contract here with San Bernardino County Fire. It's a 2-year contract. We have several other contracts in the pipeline. We have large traction. Our executive team is tremendous. We have leaders in population health. We have leaders in AI and also acquisition of talent from talent acquisition, as well as being able to sell companies as well. And then timeline, AI is really our focus. And then our call to action, the $70 is really linear. It's going to help us with our AI integration and building out our AI. And thank you so much for your time.
All right. Is Garen there? Scott.
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to hit my audio. Yeah, go ahead, Scott. I'll go after Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Galen.
Okay. All right. Michael, it's Michael, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, here's my question. Top 3 things that your wearable would detect that matters to these first responders, if there are 3 things. What are the top 2 or 3?
From the cardiac perspective, their sleep data, and I would say being able to aggregate it to their leadership.
All right. How are they handling cardio and sleep right now? How are they obtaining this data?
The only way they're doing that is through an NFPA 1582 physical, and those physicals are doing an optional physical that they're doing once a year. That's part of the problem. So we do the physical and we do the data on the back end.
Okay. One, I don't think that was very clear. You kind of talked around it. Brevity and edits are your friend. You ran out of time. I think you spent way too much time on the front end talking about, you have a nice casual approach. But this is a timed presentation, and you want to make the most use of it. All right. So I think you could be much more efficient in the very beginning. I got a note to myself. If I had to sum it up, you're hitting a lot of the notes. You have the notes of this presentation. I can see some potential. It's topical, etc. We just don't have a tune yet, and I'm looking for a hook. All right. Yes. So if cardio and sleep are the issues, and I know that firefighters they're stressed out when they get out into the field. So your competition, in some ways, I'm not putting words in your mouth, could be the status quo. You're basically competing with a physical that's happening once a year. All right. So if that's going to be your thesis, I think you should drill down on that. You do have a competition, even if it's status quo. So I'm going to push you on that. The AI, I call it AI dust because every presentation now has a little AI thrown in it. And that's what it kind of seemed like at the very end. You made this presentation, you served up this meal, and then you threw a little AI on the top. Just drop it. If that's not your jam, no sense of distracting everybody with that. Okay. But I think you have something here. I think it's just the devil's going to be in the details. All right. And how you roll this out.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Scott.
Yeah. So, I echo a lot of what Galen said. Way too long on the intro. Obviously, you didn't time it well, so that's something to practice. A couple of other things. Your TAM is too large. This is something that a lot of startups struggle with, and it was in some other decks that I didn't comment on. But look, your TAM isn't 300 million people and every person on Earth. And I mean, don't do that. It completely ruins your credibility. You are a niche app right now going after firefighters and then potentially expanding to first responders, but to try to compete with every other app that every health is, whatever insurer is using. I mean, there's no reason to do that. So I would definitely rethink that. And then the other thing, $10 million in year one for a B2B SaaS startup in a niche market isn't believable. So, I mean, unless again, and if you have the pipeline and you have the ARR already, then you need to put that in those KPIs in the deck, because otherwise it just comes off as you're just throwing out a bunch of random stuff. Like for everyone who's doing a SaaS business, software as a service business, it is an absolutely brutal business. Brutal. And you are going to get hammered when you go out. And again, this is advice beyond this competition, but you are going to get hammered on your KPIs. And the only thing investors are going to want to hear about is your KPIs. They don't care about that what you're doing. They want to make money, and they're a very brutal group of investors. I've worked with hundreds of investors in this space. So I just want to make sure that, it's a great story and it's very cool that you're saving lives, of course, but it's also a business. So I would just think about those things. And, if you're going to say 10 million in the first year, you have a very, very generic GTM go-to-market strategy. And I would definitely, wrap in some more impactful KPIs if you're going to claim 10 million in year one. Unless I misread your slide, but I thought I saw 10 million.
No, I think to Gerald's point, the whole NFPA physical, the service component, I didn't draw enough on that component. It's not just SaaS.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So-
I missed that then. I thought you were a SaaS app. Sorry.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Question. What's your business now?
As far as revenue,
No, what's your business? What do you do now?
we're a clinical meets digital platform. We do the service and the tech.
Right, not for firefighters, right?
No,
Generic, it's generic.
It's generic, but we're niching into the first responders.
They have a contract with the firefighter, with the county of
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's what's happening here, is that you're trying to kind of put in something in a lane.
Mhm.
You have a highway right now, and you're trying to get a new lane in, and your new lane is firefighters,
Sure.
and that's not coming out. For this competition, it's firefighting or whatever.
That's right.
But what we're getting all very confused about, and I think part of it was this discussion that they're having there, is that you talk about, you have a business, and then now you have an adjunct that is the firefighters. And you're not giving us enough here. That this does not look like a firefighting solution. It's a solution that has a firefighting potential component. And maybe you have now some contract that you're doing. The other thing, I've been in the digital health space for a really long time. These are closed-end devices, most of them. And so it's really difficult for you to go to an Apple Watch, to go to an Aura, to go to whatever, and get all that data. Right? And so part of the reason why a lot of this hasn't taken off is because people want to, carry their own data. And the only one that has all the data, not from these types of devices, is Epic. And so it becomes complicated to tell this story, I think, for you. So maybe you want to figure out, kind of like we had an earlier discussion about how do you reframe this? Because you need to reframe it in the context of the firefighter, but you're not really hitting the mark.
Got it. So too broad with all the other parts of the companies, reframe it for specific.
Well, if you're pivoting from Transcend Health to Hero Health Hub, you need to tell us about Hero Health Hub and not about Transcend Health, but too much of your presentation, because you've already, by the way, this is a critique for anybody that has been in business for a long time, is you're a Transcend Health person. Your day job is selling Transcend Health, and now you're trying to sell us something else, and that is coming out in this presentation because you don't know enough about Hero Health Hub yet. So I think you'll need to kind of reshuffle that, but
Thanks for your
all right, good job.
Yep.
All right, everybody, I'm Kyle Aquino, CEO of Vala, based here in La Quinta, and we streamline veteran disability claims for the attorneys and agents who fight for them. So there are 17 million vets, yet a majority of them are not receiving the benefits that they honorably earn, with 220 billion still unclaimed. And I know this because I'm a disabled vet myself. It took me 3 years to fight for my correct disability rating. This rating, which is a number from 0 to 100%, that determines the level of financial compensation and medical care that a veteran would receive post-military. So that's why it's a big deal for them. And that struggle, that is the norm. The VA claims process is slow, it's confusing, and it's frustrating. It not only fails these vets, but also the advocates that fight for them, as well as the VA at large. That's what Vala is here for. We ensure that every vet gets the benefits that they honorably earn faster, fairer, and without waste. And we do this, we start with the wedge into the VA ecosystem through the VA attorneys and agents who fight for these vets. We start with them for 3 reasons. One, it's the fastest path to revenue. They're a highly underserved niche with generic solutions to serve them. And 2, they are built on contingency, not by billable hours. So therefore, any solution that helps them save time and scale their practice, they're more than welcome. And then 3, it's the network effects. So they have all the advanced workflows and tribal knowledge. By building a solution around them, we're building us something that the rest of the ecosystem players would gladly pay to solve. And what does Vala solve for them? It's 3 things. 1, we automate case prep. We identify all eligible benefits for 2. And 3, we track and hit all deadlines. So think TurboTax for VA claims that's advocate facing. So instead of a W-2, you have a C file, which is anywhere from 2,000 to 20,000 plus pages, many of which are handwritten. And so we're saving them 20 to 80 plus hours per claim, helping them to scale their practice without reducing their or increasing their staff. This is what our platform looks like. Here's our 3 most compelling features. 1 is to auto-populate all the VA forms. 2nd is to transcribe any of these client calls and to enrich the client data. And 3, which is our most popular, being able to engage in AI chat with their documents, to being to bulk upload the hundreds or even thousands of files and be able to securely, privately, and accurately engage with it. Now, beyond the wedge, beyond the attorneys and agents, we're going to be expanding over to VSOs, or Veteran Services Organizations. So we'll be automating the front end of VA benefits here, creating a data moat where volumes of claims will be driving through our platform. Right now, we're in the middle of VA API access. So once we're marrying both the front and the back end of that process, we become the verification and audit layer for the VA, which turns us from being a tool into infrastructure. Because on the VA side, they also want to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse. And so by providing that level of transparency, we will provide validation and reconciliation for the 400 billion plus in veteran benefits that are flowing over the rails. So think Stripe or Palantir for VA benefits ultimately. This is what it looks like from a market segmentation perspective. So our SOM is based on our wedge of the attorneys and agents at 120 million. And then for our SAM, is essentially the TAM of that wedge at 4.7 billion. And then that overall TAM is the rails, the number in which the VA is paying out to the field on an annual basis. Now, we just signed our first 6 customers last month in private beta at 6,200 ARR. We're launching open beta in the next 2 weeks with 95 firms in the pipe that's valued at over 4 million. And we have clear line of sight to the rest of the ecosystem. We have 2 LOIs now, one with a major VSO and another one with Riverside County. And we also have a VA API approvals in progress. Our customers already love us. We already consolidate 3 to 4 tools that they currently use, saving them hours every week. The top 2 here are local SoCal firms. Now, and our business model is essentially a SaaS subscription per client fee. So when we launch open beta, it's $250 per month plus $50 per veteran. Every attorney takes on 25 new veterans every month. So one attorney is equal to 15K in ARR. Now, as the product matures, so does ACV. So as we increase to 150 per veteran, now one attorney is equal to 45K in ARR. Now, after open beta, we'll look to expand to over 50 firms in 9 months to break 1 million ARR, and most of the firms in that pipeline are SoCal regionally based. Now, this wedge here is a $5 billion market full of outdated and fragmented tools with no clear leader. All the other tools out there are primarily generic CRM or case management tools that require heavy customization. All the new AI entrants are narrow point solutions that that under-deliver on results. And they're all outsiders, meaning they don't have VA or military experience. So that's where Vala fits in to be able to provide something compelling for this ICP. These are our projections. We're an AI SaaS, so most of our expenses go towards employee salaries. So we're looking to profit and be cash flow positive by year 3 when we start making 5 million ARR. When we're a team of disabled vets and serial entrepreneurs who live this. I was a former naval officer and 2-time tech CEO. James is our CTO, who's prior Air Force, prior founder, and he's also built AI at Anduril and at Primer. Steven, he's our CPO. He's my classmate at the Naval Academy, and he's a former founder and a PM in Accenture. And we're backed by Forum Ventures, who not only invested in us, but provided an entire venture studio to back us up in ops, admin, design, and go-to-market. So being veteran-led, attorney-supported, and VC-backed, we have the right team in place to go to market and to win. What this 70K does from SoCal OASIS will provide the 4 months of necessary runway, critical runway, to convert the 50 firms mostly from our region within 9 months to hit 1 million ARR. And specifically, our regional impact here is more access for our local veterans to medical care and financial stability, fewer local veterans who are homeless, and higher local veterans with employment. So the future of veteran advocacy is finally here. It's faster, smarter, it's also built to scale. So let's make it happen together. Thank you.
Go first. I like your slides. They are sort of clean and simple, and I could get the story out of it, which I previously was slightly confused from your
The 30 second?
like
Yeah.
30 seconds. Now I understand who the customer is and what you are building. So I
don't have any questions.
I don't have
Martin always has
specific questions.
All right.
This is a critical problem, Kyle, and I applaud you for taking it on head on. My concern, however, is that when you introduced us to this issue, I flipped into my Six Sigma mode automatically. And my question to you is, because my interpretation is that your solution is addressing the upfront issues of preparing the forms and so forth. And yet my knee-jerk reaction is, but isn't the bottleneck after all of that is taking place? Is the slowdown, or when molasses gets into work, is it after all those forms and AI comes into play? Or is it, where is the real problem here? And I'm kind of thinking it's.
Where's the bottleneck?
It's the real bottleneck.
There are multiple bottlenecks.
That I'm just not sure that you're addressing.
Yeah, there are multiple bottlenecks. One of the biggest bottlenecks is that it's not automatic to claim these benefits. For instance, it's the burden on the veteran to initiate it themselves. But part of the bottleneck that I'm addressing is that, well, there's also a slog on the admin front with these advocates. Like, it's already 20 to 80 plus hours just to focus on a single claim. And when they get paid on contingency, it's like, well, it's a big risk for them to see, hey, can I make an impact off of this person? And I only got so much time, and I need income to live. So I need, and they have a huge top of funnel. So many people coming to see them needing help. And so the idea would be to streamline a lot of that so they could help more people. But they also have all the advanced workflows. Because if I went B2C, which where a lot of founders did, like, they don't capture a lot of the advanced workflows and advanced tribal knowledge, which they're trying to do. And this is part of like the consolidation of a lot of the channel partner or the advocates who hold this tribal knowledge and the workflows, and also the case volume all going through. Because then we could change it from a systemic level, with the VA at that point. And that's the whole idea with that, to start B2B here with the advocates eventually head towards B2G, systemically changing across the landscape, where on the VA side, reducing fraud, waste, and abuse, on the claims initiating side, being able to reduce the time to claim and expand that benefit to more, to allow access to more veterans to access these benefits.
Got it. That's cool. I mean, I appreciate you going after the initial problems right up front. I'd love to see you evolve later on into the subsequent bottlenecks where it seems like we're really coming to a grinding halt. It's appalling that it's 2 to 4 or beyond years before they get their benefits. And I think a lot of it is later on down the course of this process.
Galen.
Yes. First of all, and this is for everybody else as well, and I realize for some of you, this is kind of your first time. These slides were the best of class. Now you have VC money, so they're supposed to be that way at this point in time. But I like, for everybody else that's in the room that's watching, I would look at the slides and you'll notice that the use of color, less text, and it just makes it a lot easier to follow. Okay, so that's pretty much for everybody. I have 2 questions. One is how, and appreciate your service. This is definitely a problem. One is, what's the UCR angle? One, you have VC money, so what are you coming to Riverside to do with the 70K? And the other issue was I always kind of get a flag card out when I hear anybody selling to the legal industry. Enough said. Enough said. So. Are you going to the legal industry? Or are you going to the VA? Who's your real point person to get traction?
Our initial customers are lawyers and VA accredited attorneys, or VA accredited attorneys and agents. But we didn't want to be stovepipe necessarily in legal tech forever, which is why again, there are a wedge ICP beachhead market as we expand to VSOs. Veteran services organizations.
Okay, you lost me.
Yep.
You lost me. That's a lot of inside acronyms. I'm sorry. So
Right.
who are you targeting first? Who are you going to?
VA lawyers and agents.
Legal. So the legal firms is the wedge, you say?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Got it. And Riverside. What's the Riverside angle?
Well, we're based in Riverside County. Our LOI, main LOI in Riverside County is also with Riverside County Veteran Services Office.
Oh, okay.
And then we have several customers who came from Riverside County as well.
Got it. I may have missed that. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Very good. All right, good presentation.
So, our pipeline is also filled with Riverside County firms as well.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So just a couple things, again, there's literally a million, not exaggerating, a million verticalized AI pitch decks floating around out there. I probably get 10 or 15 a week right now, and I'm not even a VC, that are looking for me to help them raise money. So I have a couple of quick questions, and we can take it offline probably because we won't have time. But the quick questions for me are, how do you handle AI hallucination? Because this is like very specific work. And are you a wrapper on a model, or what are you using for your AI engine or LLM?
Right. Right now we're using multiple LLMs, mainly with Grok. We're about to enter self-serve model pretty soon. Right now we have 6 agents and growing to help with the ingesting of the documents and preventing hallucinations. I have 2 people on board who have a lot of AI experience who were doing it in say like in defense and also areas where accuracy does matter. So that's being built into the platform.
Let's assume that he's gonna get the tech working. So, okay, can you go back to your financial slide for a second?
Sure.
All right, so no, go to the one that how you're charging. Yeah, this one. Okay, so question is like how much are lawyers getting out of this, and how much are you getting out of it? So like,
sure. Yeah,
Can they afford,
lawyers get paid on contingency.
right, so can they afford this model?
Yes, actually, our main competitor, called Page, they're a ChatGPT wrapper. They've demonstrated that they're successfully able to charge $200 plus per veteran. And that there's a willingness to pay for that as well, and it's not even that accurate of a solution.
Okay.
And so.
All right, so I'm glad, because otherwise.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, this wouldn't make sense.
So who pays the lawyer?
The VA
At
pays
the
the
end,
lawyer, at the end, 20%.
When the actual money comes in, the lawyer gets paid, it's all contingency.
So essentially, the benefits for the veteran, 30% of the benefits to the veteran
It goes to the lawyer. Yeah.
Right,
But then the
but
question
not
is-
forever, we just like the upfront,
Right.
that's similar with Social Security.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so as long as you verified your model and it works.
Yes.
Then it's good, because I was having.
Oh,
a
absolutely,
hard time figuring this out, if
Yeah.
if it's all contingency, so, okay, good job,
Well,
nice
thank you
job.
so
I
much.
just have a couple of comments.
Yes.
Very fast. The slides are great, but you talk so fast that it's almost like I have to breathe to catch up. What you're saying, and a lot of lingo, that I think that you need to, not everybody really understand your space. So clarify, because what about ARR? I don't know how many people here don't know what ARR is, or maybe they do, but just think about, slow down
Who's in the audience?
Yes, and then think about the audience, that you want to bring them along. And to Galen's point, right? So you say, oh, you're going to pay lawyers, but you're talking about the veterans. So maybe you want to say upfront, because I didn't get it, does every veteran needs a lawyer to get their benefits, or an advocate?
No, but because of how difficult this is,
Okay.
they turn to them.
So I think you may want to actually emphasize that a bit, clarify maybe. There are 134,000 veterans in Riverside County. Yes. That's a lot of people. Right, and so there's a need, and there's a need. So how can you actually say they unless you have a lawyer, you don't get to cash on your benefit.
Yeah, or you're gonna be waiting a lot longer. Nice job, though. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Sujen. I'm the CEO and founder for Water Illumination. And Water Illumination is a UCR spin-off company. And at here we are utilizing a UV-based water treatment technology to destroy PFAS in water or other emerging contaminants with no waste and lower cost. And so for a brief introduction, what is PFAS? So PFAS is a man-made chemical. It's been started manufactured since 1940s, and it's widely covered our life. For example, non-sticky wear, dental floss, diaper, makeups, all covered with PFAS. And it's been a big problem, hard to destroy, forever chemical, and health problems. And today's solution is only separation technology, gag or exchange or membrane. There's no existing cost-effective, large-scale PFAS destruction available. And as you can see, the map here, the contaminated water of PFAS is everywhere along the US, and also is a worldwide problem. And how big is the problem? If US want to clean up the water with PFAS, we need to burn $5.7 million per year. And also there's a 63 billion health burden per year, and there's a 10 billion plus litigation settlement around PFAS. So what's our solution here? We are using a UV-based water treatment technology to destroy PFAS with no harmful product form and at a lower cost. We are modularized design, so it's easier to scaling up and potentially have a lower capital cost and operating cost compared to other competitors. And so looking at the competitive matrix, we are the only one can provide a cost-effective solution and inline PFAS destruction. And for example, the gag exchange, the orange one here, they are separation technology. They can do large scale, but not destroy PFAS. So forever chemicals still stay forever on the earth. It will come back again.
And the other destruction technology, they are all batch basis, so they can only deal with a small scale. But in the real water industry, we need to deal with multi-million gallon per day. So a large scale with lower cost solution is a key. So what the market looks like, US market is a $1.7 billion, and Europe, North America together is $3.4 billion, and worldwide $7 billion. So as you can see, the pie here, the majority pie is shared by the separation technology, and only a slice shared to the destruction technology. And we believe when water elimination technology goes to the market, we are able to share this big pie and break into this market. So what we have done, we already have our first Gen 1 pilot running at a world leader water utility, Orange County Water District. We start from UCR and we grow our business locally. And luckily we have our world leader OCWD in local, and we have done a 6-week pilot study on real groundwater. And as you can see the data here, we can destroy the PFAS to near non-detection level, far below the EPA regulation level, consistently over 6 weeks. So the Gen 1 pilot has helped us validate the Gen 1, our prototype technology performance, and also help build us a solid fundamental to further scaling up to next generation Gen 2. And all the stakeholder, OCWD, they are very excited to see the result, and they are volunteer us to share the great news across the key stakeholder around the industry. And as you can see, the result turns out there are many key stakeholders and starting to contact us, want to have our product. And for example, they want to lease us, they want to have the Gen 2 sell to them. And so we have a big traction here. And the key feedback we heard from the potential customer is they badly want our product. And they think our product is the technology, the whole market, whole industry has been waiting for 10 years. They are very excited to see the results and what's upcoming. So what's our prototype roadmap? So we have our Gen 1 prototype validated on industry real world, and we are going to scaling up to the second generation Gen 2. And Gen 2 module is going to be able to treat, each module is going to treat 40,000 gallon water per day. And we can pack this Gen 2 into early customer community or industry. And in the future, we have our Gen 3 module, and we're going to municipal level. And each Gen 3 module will be able to treat 1 million gallon per day. And so this is our milestone and timeline. So with our Gen 1 already built, we are able to make some early revenue from the rental or service from the Gen 1. So that's starting from 2026 next year. And Gen 2 and more revenue coming from Gen 2 pilot and or service and Gen 3 and so on. So this is our funnel. We start from the sample testing, treatability testing, and we assume 40% will convert to a pilot testing, and pilot testing will convert to the final sale. And we are partnering with consulting firms to access their existing client network. And we are going to co-present our outstanding results to the whole industry to build the credibility and visibilities. And so, but this is a hard tech technology. It takes time to build the momentum, build the revenue. So we think the revenue for the next 3 years is ramping up, and after 2029, it's going to hit a turning point. And so who is on the team? Myself as an experienced entrepreneur, and I have working experience with startup, SBR, funding agencies, and merger acquisition strategies. And we also have our CTO Professor Hydro, who is the inventor of this technology, and we cover the science excellent on here. And meanwhile, we also have the technical expert from this field, Dr. Ted Mao, who is a former CTO from Trojan Technology. Trojan is one of the largest UV technology company in the world. And at Water Innovation, we are the OEM. We design and manufacture our own equipment. And so we need the experienced person help us and get us to design the equipment here. And Dr. Ted help us tremendously. And we also have an outstanding engineer team and Neil Becker here with a 30+ year commercialization experience, helping us to build the market. So if we have the 70K fund, we'll use this money directly to the engineering and prototyping for our Gen 2. Once our Gen 2 is ready, it will open our market tremendously. And it will directly break into this market, and it's going to be a revolution to this market. And the 30% will go to the business development. For example, we will go the trade show to meet with potential partner and to funding with potential piloting.
Need to wrap it up.
Okay. And yes, we are expecting to have to deliver the Gen 2 by the second quarter of 2026. And by the third quarter of next year, we will have the second generation prototype validated on field, and we will be able to make revenue from that. So thank you, and I would like to take questions from here, and we are excited to see what's coming soon in 2026.
You want to go first? Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, that was a good pitch. It's your deck and your pitch is getting better every time I see it. So congratulations on the progress. I hate to keep bringing this up, but I mean, I know that I know that some of your folks are located in the Inland Empire area, but are you going to be manufacturing the units in the Inland Empire? I'm just trying to figure out like what the connection is for the region. Because many of your customers, of course, will be in other areas, as you already mentioned, like Orange County. So are you going to manufacture the units in the area?
Yes, we are working with local metal fabrication shops to manufacture our Gen 2 and Gen 1 together with Gen 1. And also we have some potential clients lining up in the Inland Empire. We heard there are some potential customer who are urgently need our solution.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So I believe, and I agree with Scott, you did much better than even reading the pictures, so it's clear. Mm-hmm. And also I like that you show your progress in terms of the prototype, and then you show the data as well. That's really good. Regarding the you put a lot of logos in terms of your partners or potential partners. Do you have concrete contracts or orders from them, or what is the status?
What you.
So go back. That.
Yes. Can I use the projector here?
These partnerships and what is.
So for example, let's start from the active testing. We finished our first testing with our first customer, OASIS. And we are testing others with ECT2, which is a big company in this field. And also 3 Water Authority, that's the next in San Diego. And the middle column, Hazen, Cleanfielder, and Semiconductor PFAS Consortium, they are the client that directly reach out to us and want to rent our Gen 1. So they are in the discussion with us how much it will cost them to rent our Gen 1 system. Or to do some traceability tests. And Zhengwen Airport, which is Santa Ana Airport, and they are also in the discussion about they have upcoming projects and how we can participate, and they have a leader, blah, 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 so on. And for the partnership, OASIS. So OASIS is the largest salination water district in the west region, they're dealing with 300 million gallon per day of wastewater. So they know who is a discharger of the PFAS, and they are helping us to identify who is on their naught list. And we are reaching out to those naught lists and help them to improve and get better. And the Colden, Brown, Caldwell, AURI, CDM Smith, they are big consulting firms and famously known in industry. And they have existing large clients, and they are helping us to introduce from our technology to their clients. So we are accessing their existing client, and they are helping us to build a network.
Okay.
Marketing.
So I would like to know how much does a 1 unit cost? How much does it cost to make? And then how much does it cost to run those units?
Okay, that's a good question. I assume you are asking about the Gen 2 cost or a Gen 1?
But either
whatever you're gonna go to market
whatever
with.
you will use to go to market really.
For the Gen 1, we already have the cost of the material is 20K or 20K to 30K.
But put it together, right?
Put it
It's a
together.
box, right?
It's a box. And for the Gen 2, it's for a larger scale. So each new unit is going to dealing with 40,000 gallon per day. And for example, a community or industry, they want 400,000 gallon per day. We just put 10 unit of the Gen 2 together in parallel to solve their problem. That's a modularized design. And each module, our estimate is cost about 50K. So imagine that if you get the 70K, will directly contribute and help us to build a Gen 2. It will be speed up our process.
And does it cost something to run those units, to supply that UV light?
The electricity, I assume that's a operational cost. So we have a very good operational cost calculation. Based on our Gen 1 or Gen 2 model, it's going to be as low as very comparable price compared to gas exchange, which is a separation technology. A destruction technology, we can dealing out and destroy them in situ, and as low price as a separation technology. That's a dream come true for the industry.
Just to clarify from Lana's question, when you mentioned $20,000 per unit, is your model then equipment sale, or do you have an ongoing revenue stream thereafter for service maintenance or otherwise? Because if it's just equipment sale,
Go to your financial.
I'm not certain if investors would find that as appealing.
Yeah, right there.
Yes, we do. So I would like
There's
to
a
start from
service.
here. So we start from the sample testing, then pallet testing, and then the sales. It's after sale, equipment sale, we still have the maintenance package, service
Go
package.
to your financial model, it's in there, right there, service, pilot test, or whatever, services. She's got 8 million. or
Product
whatever.
sales and
Yeah.
service.
Okay,
Still not seeing it.
And if
I'm
it
sure
costs
it's
you,
right.
let's say, 20
Okay.
or 50K to make the unit, how much do you sell it?
Sell it for if for example Gen 2, we're targeting each unit will cost $500,000 to $1 million, depends on their capacity, how much they want. So that's
So you will make it for 50K and sell it for $500,000?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yes, this is a market bench.
all
So
right.
if the gas exchange, we are selling for 1 unit for $500,000, 1 million, and we are destruction, we have to provide more value. So this is a benchmark value compared to them.
So 2028, you're going to sell 2 units.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I think we need to work on this pro forma.
Mhm.
So.
As always.
Yeah, it's always typical, and we'll figure it out. Okay, good. Very nice job.
Terrific.
And great time.
Good.
So we are a UCR spinout. We license our intellectual property from UCR, and we are housed at UCR. I'm Mark Cash, the CEO and co-founder of Fourth State Energies. The fourth state of matter is plasma, and we use plasma in our manufacturing process to create a silicon powder for high energy batteries. High energy batteries are emerging as a very important use case for lithium ion batteries. We need it for drones, EV tolls. We need it for AI inference, and the Department of Defense is in desperate need of high energy batteries. The problem is we're not going to get it from graphite. So a battery is made primarily of graphite and the cathode materials with some electrolyte and a separator in the middle. Graphite represents 25% roughly by weight and volume of a total battery. And it is not enough to do a high energy battery. Further, it is dirty and consumes an enormous amount of energy. And it's a critical mineral. I mean, we cannot get sufficient supply in the United States without finding an alternative, like a silicon anode material. Our material has 5 times the energy density of graphite. It's 40% more energy at the pack level. So imagine that a small amount of change in the battery material can produce a 40% increase in energy density. This is huge. We're also lower cost than graphite at scale, and 50% or more than our competitors. This is what do you want? Better, faster, cheaper, or all three? That results in, when you combine that with other advances that we're seeing in batteries, with the LFP costs coming down, with new kinds of electrolytes and possibly solid state, you combine that with the lowest cost, highest energy density battery material, and we can end the internal combustion engine age. Boom, like full stop. We can end it. This combination will make EVs cheaper than internal combustion engines. Further, by doing that, and on the way to that, we can get to a gigaton reduction in CO2 every single year. That is 1 billion tons. That's what that's saying. Okay. So the total addressable market, of course, is large. This is any lithium ion battery. Graphite represents 56 billion in annual sales in about 2031. The high energy segment, we've estimated about 11 billion, and we're targeting 1% of that over a 6 to 7 year period. Do I want more? Yes. Can we get to multi-billions? Possibly. But this is a fairly realistic approach based on the capital that we need over the next couple of years. Why is this working? It's really easy. 3 steps with machinery that we can buy off the shelf. It takes about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to start producing material. Our competitors, it can take days to produce the same amount of material, and they spend literally hundreds of millions of dollars just on a pilot facility. I'm sorry, I'm going to read these. I want to get them correct because they are direct quotes. This is a groundbreaking patent for battery technology. One of the best silicon materials we've ever seen by Spectra Power. They didn't know that our cost was 50% or less. Otherwise, they may have said it's the best material ever. The low cost, high energy is a game changer for OEMs. Wildcat is a highly respected battery research group. We need higher energy, lower option than Sila Nano from a major automobile company. Guess who they invested in? Sila Nano. These people know that the only route, I'm getting ahead of this. These people know that the only route to a high energy, low cost silicon dominant battery is through our kind of technology. So we already outperform all of our competitors on energy density. And here's kind of the payoff slide at wildly lower costs than the folks that are here in the upper right-hand corner. I'm Mark Hatch, the CEO. I'm actually an award-winning CEO, former Green Beret. I raised tens of millions of dollars in investments, tens of millions of dollars in business development deals with Fortune 500 companies. Lorenzo's in the back here. He's a globally recognized plasma engineer and researcher. Paying cash, I wish he could have stayed. He just won the Activate Fellowship, highly competitive, extremely prestigious fellowship. It's a 2-year stipend to do all kinds of fun research up in the Berkeley lab area. And Art Salyer is the reason I'm here. He called me and said, Mark, we have a technology that can change the world, and I would like you to be the CEO. And I said, Art, you've had 3 lithium-ion battery exits in the last 15 years. Why aren't you doing that? He says, because I'm retired, but I'd love to help you do the same thing. We've got the appropriate group of advisors, technicians, they're fantastic. How do we go to market? So these are our targets. This is long-term. We want to sell to LG, Panasonic, Samsung. Short-term, we want to be able to sell to ALE, who we're already talking to. These are high-energy folks. These people, it's crazy. These people are selling an aviation battery for $1,000 to $3,000 that should be selling for $100. They're getting 10 to 30x what the current rate is. Okay. Licensing, long-term, we'd also like to license internationally. We really want to just focus on North America. So we'll partner with like LG, Mitsubishi, Mitsui, and so forth. And yes, we will use customer pull to be able to get the battery folks involved. And some of these people actually make their own batteries. These are our financials. There are a couple of key points here. And let me get to this one. So with a mere $10 million, we'll be able to build a pilot facility here in Riverside that will be able to get us to EBITDA positive in 28, profitability in 29, and cash flow positive in 2030. We'd like to raise $50 million to be able to actually build out a line that will get us to $100 million in sales. Now, not all of that needs to be venture funding, right? We're going to get SBIRs, customer takeoff agreements, DoD commitments, and then some amount of venture funding. This is actually an image of our competitor. It's a $200 million manufacturing facility. They had to build it that big in order to create enough supply to get their prices down. We could do the same thing. Now, we won't produce as much, but we could get to profitability at 100 tons and a $10 million investment. We've gotten lots of non-dilutive funding. Most recently, this Activate Fellowship, a phase 2 SBIR, last year's Cal OSHA, and we have our first two customers, which I can't name, unfortunately, who are waiting for proof of concept hits. And I'm going to keep moving here. So our deliverable is to sell proof of concept kits. So almost every dime that we might get out of this is going to go to customers so that they can experience what I've just shown you and hopefully create orders. And then, so a little bit of patents, local production here, actually probably on site. That will get us 2 to 4 times more production than we're currently scheduled to do, and that will get us more customers, which is really what I'm after. So we've got lots of traction, and here's what I want to do. I would like your help in ending the ice age. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I am not a battery expert.
No, but you're hearing it for the first time, so.
Oh, hearing it, wow, I heard your pitch. And I can tell you that I now understand batteries a little better. I understand the problem and the solution much better than before. I don't know what to add to it. So I turn to experts.
Okay. Martin.
I understand batteries. I just installed one in my garage door opener yesterday, so I consider myself an expert.
So I have a question.
Well, no, I was gonna say, I sorry for the bad joke. It's just my DNA. The 4 validators, is that a right word? Those who had validated you, are they customer, prospects, investors? Are they putting their money where their mouth is, or are they just giving you a head rub?
The DOE has given us money, right, through the SBIR multiple times, including SBIR 2.
I'm talking about the ones with the quotes.
Yes. Yeah, no, the magazine company that said the patent is important is not a customer.
Right.
The only customers there, Spectra Power has offered to buy some, but they're not really our target.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
All right, Mark. If this is so great, you know, fantastic, award-winning, et cetera, why does it take so long and you haven't raised money so far?
Yeah, there are headwinds. Headwinds were the DOE dropped $600 million on our competitors and thought that they had a solution that was solved. They now know that it isn't solved. CELA Group 14 1D acquired over $600 million. There was a dearth there for about 18 months where the DOE wasn't parsing out any more money to silicon companies. We're now through that valley and actually got that SBIR too. So, a little bit of patents, local production here, actually probably on site. That will get us 2 to 4 times more production than we're currently scheduled to do, and that will get us more customers, which is really what I'm after. So we've got lots of traction, and here's what I want to do. I would like your help in ending the ice age. Thank you very much.
Okay.
VCs were reluctant because they thought that it was solved. It's only now emerging that the problem has not been solved.
What about getting, I mean, the California Energy Commission, like dispensed money to ALE and others in the space by the millions?
Yep.
Where were
We
you?
we did not have the results from our test when those numbers were being asked for.
Okay, what about subsequently?
We're ready to go now.
Okay, because I'm trying, back to.
No, we're ready to go now. You can see, you know, I skipped the slide that said, please introduce us to partners, strategic partners, granting funding agencies and venture capitalists, because we now have the results, the proof points, the patents, so it's working in actually scale.
Yeah, because I'm, you know, back to earlier comments about what does 70K do in a company that needs 50 million?
Well, it gets me 4 times the number of proof of concept hits in the hands of customers. And it helps me open a lab here on site.
Okay. Galen, do you have any comments? Questions?
I actually think you just hit it. How you doing, Mark? Good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you. Yep.
So Mark and I, full disclosure with everyone, we actually presented in the same room in San Francisco earlier in the year. Did we not? Was it this year? Yeah, kind of a blur. And we saw each other at the airport, and he offered me a glass of red wine, so I got to take it easy on him. But in all due seriousness, Mark, I think Joya hit it. Is that you obviously know your stuff. You're enthusiastic. You're a great pitch person. I hope everybody in the room was listening to this. This is what experience can do if you go get around the sun and got something cool. So I think the gap is, okay, this is so great. You've got a great team. You're affiliated with the university. Why and why do you still need $10 million? And you answered it. It's the POCs. So if you are to advance to the finals, I respectfully submit to you that maybe you don't go, maybe just sometimes you can't go full speed depending on your crowd. So you need $10 million. This is a $70,000 contest. So maybe just dial it back a little bit and say, you know what, I need money for the POCs. POCs is going to take me to the next level. This is what the industry experienced. And they kind of give maybe a indicator of why you haven't knocked it out of the park yet. Because yeah, I mean, climate tech, there's just been a lot of industry setbacks recently. So maybe so I'm not being articulating this very clearly. Maybe allude to it a little bit in the presentation so that when the Q&A comes out, it's like, oh yeah, you know, he hasn't gotten there yet because he needs his POCs, and we've had these huge catastrophic funding issues in the last 24 months or so.
Yeah, and I think that a comment around the state of affairs of the current environment, regardless of whether you got over it or not. I don't think, you know, it's enough to say you got over it. You have to probably discuss the fact that
there are
plenty of headwinds for this space. Yeah. And it's not a slam dunk by any means that, you know, anybody's going to open up their wallets. Yeah. So, Roosevelt, you have something?
Well, remember that you participated last year.
Yes.
Right, so you need, to me, you have to touch
what you did with the 30K that you won. So
because the 70K that you just got is actually an offshoot of what you got last time.
Yeah.
And so, at that time, it was about putting powder in the hands of the customer, right? So now what has happened since, right? So things have happened. You have certain traction because I felt that we are still trying to get you to put powder in the hands of the customer. So there has to be something there. A lot of things have happened.
Yeah.
And having bankers as an activate fellow and all of that is fantastic. But I think from a company perspective and traction, when you talk some more about that, rather than accolades, that's great. But I think that doesn't really reflect all the work that you've done in trying to get, you know, furnaces built, right, and product powder made, and you can even talk about the headwinds and also a little bit about context of what has been done over the past year.
Because otherwise it gives people like me that ask hard questions, like you said all these great things.
Yeah, so
why didn't you go anywhere?
Right, it's so great, why? So, but I think there's so many things around, for example, producing this type of materials that require And you're going to have very influential people in the room, right? That from the region. So to build this type of companies in this region, you require infrastructure.
Yeah, and I know the folks at AO,
Yes.
so if
Right.
you need to have somebody.
We're talking to them on Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, all right, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.